O'Keefe said yesterday, he was in Minneapolis, and he said there is a territory that is absolutely absence of police. They knew his license plate. They said, you're driving this, and if you're not out of the city within 1 hour, you're dead. He said somebody frisked him and the Marine that he was with as if they were the police. I mean, Minneapolis is out of control. It is important for people to understand what is going on, because this is not a protest. This is an insurgency. On today's podcast and at glennbeck.com, I want to take that torch and light our way here and expose another one of the organizing engines behind this unrest. And once you see it clearly, you'll understand this is not about immigration, compassion, or civil rights. This is an insurgency, not a protest.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 1,000 cities around the world. We just finished 17 years of broadcast excellence. Now in our 18th year. The Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. It's 2 days from the Super Bowl, but today is Friday, 8 till 11 a.m. Central Time. The Dave Weinbaum Show is tearing up the lies and showing you the truth. Guest today, Rabbi Moshe, calling all the way from Israel, the 257-year-old constitutional expert, J.J. Bradshaw, PRC President Joe Dalton, Pastor Pat Maxwell, State Representative Bill Hardwick, and the lawyer for 1,583 1-6ers, Mark McCluskey. Tom Homan announces reduction of 700 ICE and CBP officers out of Minnesota immediately after local officials agreed to cooperate by handing over arrested immigrants. Yet the administration has bagged thousands of criminal illegal aliens in the process. And over at the New York Times, columnist Bret Stephens is torching Gavin Newsom's potential presidential ambitions, calling it a total farce amid California's ongoing messes. Space race heating up. Elon Musk's SpaceX filed to launch up to 1 million satellites, creating orbital data centers powered by solar energy to fuel massive AI compute power. Transgender surgery cases are stacking up in courts, with major reforms on the horizon to protect kids and push back against the agenda. Trump's delivering huge wins. His new TrumpRx.gov site, that's TrumpRx.gov site, launches massive discounts on prescription drugs, forcing companies to match the world's lowest prices. Ozempic, Wegovy, and dozens more. We cover the exact time that Trump decided to run for president this morning. The first time Bill and Hillary are forced to testify at Capitol. We'll keep you informed, fired up, entertained, and laughing all morning. Streamline or podcast, call 573-578-2700 or text Let's Talk.
In Minnesota is the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Committee. It's known as MIRAC, Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, I think it is. And you're not going to hear that name on cable news, and you're not going to see it in press releases from City Hall, but you will find it inside the signal chats that were used to organize resistance to federal law enforcement, and not casually. MIRAC is listed as a recommended training resource. And that's all in the documents that are circulating among all the activists, documents instructing participants to, and I quote, train up community members in rapid response and intervention, end quote. And here's their specialty. Immigration raid response trainings. Now that sounds benign, I guess, until you read what MIRAC actually believes, okay? And this was important during BLM. People were used by BLM, and it didn't catch on for a while until it just started. People started going to jail.
Okay, we're on. Hi, welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. I'm here. I'm live. I've got my wife showed up. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa Ann Weinbaum sitting right next to me.
Yes, of course. Good morning. Until I get booted out today, I'm here.
What do you mean booted out?
Well, you've invited everybody to come in.
Well,
and so I will get booted inevitably.
Well, I'm so sorry.
You
what do you want me to do?
Wanting to fill my chair.
I want to. Yes, with talent, but none like yours.
Yeah.
Because you're so talented. You see.
Right.
I almost went the other way. Oh yeah. Well, we had a special day yesterday. I'll tell you about that in a minute. JP Maxwell is here, and he's a great producer. Hi, JP.
Good morning, everybody.
And Rick Henderson out there in Salem. Yeah, Salem. And he's been on the show for a long time, doing all the clips and the bits. And he is a child of conspiracy. And I think we got one coming up. It's about Joe Biden. Did he was he killed in 2019 2019, and then replaced with somebody with different ears? We're going to cover that one today. And look who we have. We have our first guest on. Boy, are we timing good lately.
Well,
his book is, now I wrote that down. Oh, yeah, Secrets of the Hebrew Bible. So
that's correct.
This man, thank you very much. This man, Post-Rabbi warrior. Are you post now? Is it over, kind of?
The war?
Yeah.
Well, not for what I'm doing. It's not over.
Well, I know that, but I mean,
yeah.
Fighting war generally is over with some outbreaks, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was talking to my son Ezra, who's still there in Gaza. Says there isn't really a moment where they're not being threatened by an invasion of Hamas.
Yeah,
and they're constantly having to defend the border once again, wherever they are. And so, I mean, as far as us actively going on the offensive, that for the moment is over. But as in a defensive role, there's still a lot to be done.
So, are you back now to traveling the world, convincing Christians that Jews should be aligned with instead of blasted, shelters IDF but you also shelter IDF widows, which is what you're referring to, and their kids, and try to make their lives better, obviously, than what they were before when they had husbands, and even some of the kids that got killed. Is that correct?
Right. Well, I mean that was a lot. I don't know if I would use the word convincing. I don't try to convince anyone. I try to teach.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, when you set the table, you don't make people eat. If it looks good, it looks inviting, looks tasty, they come and they eat. So that's what I try to do. Try to present, try to make it interesting, try to make it compelling and convincing. But I can never make anyone do anything. But yeah, it's very important building those bridges. And yeah, and for, like we've said, for the widows, the war is not over. The effects of the war is not over. And unfortunately, in the coming years, it's going to get more and more difficult as the kids, grow and mature and they get older and start to act out. It's one thing to have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, but it's another to have a 10-year-old.
Right.
And they act out, and there's no father around, and it's can be very
That's
messy,
gotta be
very
difficult.
complicated.
Yeah, so you've got basically at least about 15 years worth of work coming up for that.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So yeah, and I appreciate your talk about convincing instead of blasting. I wasn't trying to go for that, but I guess it might have sounded like that because that's kind of like godlike, isn't it? That's what God wants. He convinces you that this is better. Is that
Yeah,
right?
correct. I mean, there's nothing
Did you say
compelling.
there's somebody there that said right?
Right. So I'm saying God gave us free choice. The information is there, and a person chooses what they do with their time, with their lives.
Yeah.
So who am I? I'm not a dictator. I don't hold guns to people's heads and try to tell them that I'm right. Let's have a reasonable argument, a reasonable discussion, and let's see what makes the most sense.
Okay. You know what I didn't do? I didn't
No.
finalize you and say he's calling all the way from Israel. Let's hear it for Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. All right, that's enough.
There we go.
Let's not go overboard here. Okay, so there's shaky negotiations with Iran today.
Yeah.
And they've limited it. They're trying to, at least, to just nuclear power. Trump says Iranian supreme leader should be worried. I mean, they got the whole flotilla out there. I mean, they got ships. You probably can't get a pass to go through the area where Iran is on the water, and he's suspected as being somebody who's going to try to hurt you.
They have nuclear powered ships out there. The USS Abraham Lincoln, which I actually was on when I lived in Australia. The USS Abraham Lincoln was stationed off the coast of Australia, and the he's not a rabbi, he was like a chaplain on the ship, invited me out. So I got to go onto that ship, and it was that was it's like a city. They have their own post office.
Did you get to drive? Did you say, "Hey, can I take the wheel for a while"?
No, but I did see the nuclear powered the plants. It's really an incredible ship. But what I would say is, I saw a clip from Donald Trump from his first term where he was saying that the most important thing in foreign policy is to always be unpredictable. Because until now, what happened is, he says the presidents, the Congress, they always, telegraphed exactly what we're doing. And he says, I got to be unpredictable. And that's what we see here. 1 minute you think he's about to bomb them. The next minute there's going to be peace in the world. The next minute he's going to bomb them. And he's unpredictable. And I think that's
it scares the hell out of him because we used to be very predictable, always predictable. Even in World War II, I read about this up to and through 1943, almost through the whole year. The Nazis were killing us. They were tearing us apart.
Yeah,
and we were always on the defense. Always when they had an attack, they'd always follow through on it, and we'd fall back. Well, then guess who came in there? Patton. Patton came in, realizing that their equipment, the German equipment, was much better than our tanks, ranged longer and everything. But he specified some strategies that, you might fall back a little bit, but then you find a hole in them, and you go after that one and keep going until you're all the way through.
Exactly.
And that screwed them all up. They didn't know what to do.
You got to be unpredictable. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I keep telling my wife. Jersey cops anti-Semitic. That's what we got a story about that. What?
Well, I'm from Jersey.
I know that. That's why I said that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that story. It's not shocking to me, but it's unraveling. Things are unraveling in the U.S. and it's just
it's not the U.S., but you think New Jersey or New York would be okay with Jews?
Look at the last month. the hate crimes in New York City against Jews tripled since January of 2025. In comparison, January of 2026, it tripled. And the Senate is now looking into Mamdani and his anti-Semitic policies. So,
I mean, they're looking in to get him to run as a Democrat, or what are they going to do to him? What are they going to do?
That's good.
All the Jews that have any money or anything or a business or anyone else there, they're all scrambling out of there, aren't they?
Right. Well, they want to pass a law in New York City saying businesses can't leave the city. I don't know how you could pass such a law, but I saw that.
If you're a country, you can say that, and that's what they want for the country, by the way.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of that on clips today from Glenn Beck. Really interesting stuff. Saudi Arabia's cold shoulder against Israel. What's up with that? It's hot. It's cold. It's hot. It's cold.
I guess they're also unpredictable.
Well, we're wanting. We're what, 2 steps away from a connection with the Abraham Accord, and all of a sudden.
Look, we were right there, by the way, in 2023, right before the October 7th war, and it's like we're so close, and then something happens. So close, something happens.
Well, that war started about when that happened, and I think that was a turning point for them. That we got to stop this.
Yeah, for sure. Look. Look, at the end of the day, it's really Donald Trump that's going to have to put his foot down because he carries a lot of weight. Israel can't insist on that. There's got to be it's like when you have a 3-team trade in sports, like you got to bring in the third guy in order to make it happen, and I'm still confident that it will happen. It's just, there's a lot of gamesmanship.
As I told Donald Trump, sometimes you have to put your foot down to get a leg up.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Super Bowl shows are being done by Jew haters, by the way. Did you know that?
Yeah,
they have a separate show.
Right.
I don't know how this is going to work, but at the same time they're having the halftime for the Super Bowl, they have a bunch of Jew haters, one of whom said an anti-Semitic thing at this Grammys Awards.
Right. What's his name? Bad Bunny or something?
Yeah, Bad Bunny. Right.
Bugs Bunny? I don't...
No, Bugs Bunny was Jewish. Mel Blanc. Come on. Hello.
Good point. Yeah.
There you go. So Israel and Azerbaijan, I think we talked about this at one time.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, because you like that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has beach property.
Yeah. And oil reserves.
And they signed an agreement in Jerusalem. And who's next? Somaliland?
Yeah, they're going to come visit.
Truthfully, now this is not Somalia. This is Somaliland, and they're in southern Africa.
Right. They would have been wise to change their name that sounded something different than Somalia, if you ask me. There's a lot of...
Elon, I don't understand.
That's like starting a sneaker company and calling it Nike Land. It's like, but that's if you have a good image. Somalia does not have a good image. So why would you call your country Somaliland? It doesn't seem to work well for me. But in any event, I used to have a side gig going. But unfortunately, my learning centers got shut down. And
you're leering? No, those are leering centers.
Oh, the leering centers.
Yeah, they're not learning.
Yeah, I'm looking for a few extra bucks now. So, but it is a big deal that Israel recognized them. Because Somaliland is they seem to be a very ethical, moral place with good leadership, and I'm happy about that.
Has Turkey's Erdogan learned from Iran's massacre of protesters? Now, my question is that sometimes this guy is pro-Israel, sometimes he's anti-Israel, anti-Jewish. He's hard. Now, here's a guy that's hard to pin down. What do you think?
He is the problem with Turkey. Because before Erdogan came to power, Turkey and Israel have had a very good relationship. Not only that, people, traveled there all the time on vacations. And Turkey was a relatively secular Muslim state. Erdogan's a religious Muslim, and naturally, he in his jihadi views, he's tried to transform the country, kind of like what happened in Iran. But he's been a thorn in the side of Israel for a while.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day he's gone.
Well, Trump has mostly nice things to say about the guy. I don't understand it. He sets people up like that. Like Mondavi. He calls Mondavi all the time in New York, the new mayor.
Mamdani, yeah.
Mandani, yeah. And it doesn't make sense to you or me, but I think that he's trying to set in and maybe convince them a little bit more than pushing them around, just like they did in Minnesota when they brought Homan down, Tom Homan, and they took 700 ICE out of there. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, they got to be hiding something there in Minnesota. I mean,
of course, everything they've done is so criminal. They're all being investigated. But the Ottoman Empire actually helped Jews, I believe, during the insurrection in Spain, and they were very good to Jews over a long period of time.
Well,
and
I thought
you know what the deal about the Ottoman Empire is.
Yes, you got to put your feet up the whole time.
No, come on.
I've heard you say that a bunch of times, so I'm ready.
So you've used it, haven't you? You've used it.
I was ready. I was ready for it. Yeah,
it's ready.
You can't use it with the younger crowd because they have no idea what an Ottoman is. They look at me like I'm crazy. But.
Yeah. Well, we're educating. I'm sure there's a lot of kindergartners listening to the show, right? So the IDF eliminates Abu Asai of Hamas. He led an assault on a kibbutz in Israel. Dozens of civilians were murdered and abducted. So is this still going on, or is this?
So nobody that participated in the October 7th massacre is safe.
Good.
And Israel will hunt them down no matter how long it takes. So the kibbutz called Nir Oz was the hardest hit on a percentage basis. And it was bad. I visited there a few times, and so they got this guy who led the assault on the kibbutz. We got him, 2.5 years later, but we got him.
They're still getting these messages, aren't they? And they should be getting them for a long, long time.
Yes, now, they know. They have to live their life in hiding, or we're going to get them.
That brings me to the other things that I've been talking about for a long time, and that's places like where you lived, Australia, where they almost didn't give a damn about all those Jews, 15 Jews being murdered on a Hanukkah outing on the beach.
Yeah,
and nobody really showed up, and they just picked them off one after another, and then the head of the country says, "Well, we got to do something about our guns. We have too many guns out here." Those Jews had no guns. It was just the shooters.
Right.
So how are we going to eliminate that and make them scared to do that in different countries?
Well, I don't think that's realistic. I don't think you're going to be able to eliminate all the guns. The only people who would give up their guns are the law-abiding people.
Well, we know that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the governments that let this happen knowingly and do nothing about the murderers.
Look, the Australia just passed very strong laws, but it's too little, too late. It's like when they allowed, for the last couple of years, they allowed these violent rallies calling for jihad, calling for river to the sea. And what did they expect the outcome was going to be? What did they expect?
Well, if they expected it, there's even more cause to my quest.
Yeah.
Which is you don't do nothing about Jews being killed in your country. We're coming after them. And you better not stop us or we'll come after you.
Yeah. I agree. You know, the business as usual where we hide and we
right
run.
after this, I know it's the Sabbath and all that, but call BB and tell him, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I'll send him a WhatsApp.
About this.
I'll send
And tell
him an
him,
email.
tell him I said, don't make me call you.
bb@gmail.com. I'll send him an email.
All right.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that on air.
Other than Dave Weinbaum show, where can people contribute and buy your book, Secrets of the Hebrew Bible?
They can go to the site you see in front of you, secretsofthehebrewbible.org, and get yourself a copy. They can go to our website, israelalliance.org, or facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
Where can they contribute? I know that's up there, but
on the website, israelalliance.org, they can drop a donation. Happy to receive it.
You know, Rabbi, you can't be funny all the time, but always carry a big shtick.
Okay.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, every once in a while you have a crashing joke, and but you got more. You know, you got more shtick.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
You can use that one.
You all were talking about Bugs Bunny and Bad Bunny and how Bad Bunny is the halftime show, which whatever to me. You know, Bugs Bunny is actually funny and entertaining. So
I know my wife was playing a movie last night, and it was Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah. They're still timeless.
Right? Remember that?
We were talking about protests earlier. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't remember if it's in Minnesota or what state it was, but a whole bunch of educators, teachers, were part of a protest, and they had got a snapshot of one of the teachers holding a sign saying, you know, we're skipping school to protest, but misspelled skipping. And everybody's like, you're the one educating our kids? Wow. Maybe you should work at this point.
maybe they were from the Leering Center.
Yeah, they're graduates. Graduates.
Yeah, they're like
graduates of the Leering
Center. All right. Yeah. Shabbat shalom, my friend.
All right. Shabbat shalom.
Cheers for Rabbi Moshe Rothschild.
Don't forget, March 8th, I will be in St. James, City of Light and Life.
Cancel our trip. March 8th, he's coming to stay.
Yeah, anniversary of my bar mitzvah, March 8th. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We got a little bat mitzvah coming on. A little bat mitzvah.
Okay.
Little baby in the Weinbaum family.
Ooh.
We'll tell you about it.
Okay. I got to run, guys.
All right. Okay. Well, go ahead. Go. Nobody's stopping you. Go. Say hello to everybody. Okay. That's the one thing about Jews. You know, I mean, really, Jews that talk, you know, to each other and joke around, yell at each other sometimes, and that's real Jewish. That's my father, you know, and him and his cousin. Of course, they got serious about their disagreements and didn't see each other for 3 years.
Ooh.
You know, and he tried to pull that on me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to see me for 3 years after my dad died. And I called him up and I says, "What the hell are you doing? My dad's dead."
Yeah.
He says, "I don't know." He says, "I don't know what I'm doing." You know, just habit. Okay, listen, we got the time for a commercial. Let's do it. We got lots of people coming on, and coming next is JJ Bradshaw. So don't touch the dial.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word: crispy. but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender, all one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in 1 word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrell's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Hey, Weinbaum fans. PRC of Rolla's annual Banquet for Life is coming up on March 5th. Join us for an amazing meal and an unforgettable evening as the pro-life faithful come together for the cause of life. Go to supportmyprc.com and click on the banquet link to register. Thanks to our corporate sponsors, your cost to attend this event is covered, but you'll be asked to make a donation at the end of the event. Go to supportmyprc.com to register or call 573-368-5700.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Okay, we're back, and we've got some great clips I want to play. Let's play a few more of those Glenn Beck clips, because you're going to be shocked to hear what he's talking about. This guy has been right about just about everything that's happened. He's predicting stuff, and he's telling you what's happening right now with our country is not a local thing. It's a worldwide, supported by people like Soros thing, and it's tied to the Middle East. Hit it.
We told you at the very beginning of BLM, you have to know what they stand for. They are for the destruction of America and the destruction of the nuclear family. And when you go back and you look at their founding documents and their own words and what they are currently for, It should open your mind and open your eyes and say, wait a minute, I don't want to partner with these guys. Okay. What they expose about themselves in their posts, in their own words, in their alliances, is this, and this is really important. This leads to something from next hour that I really am anxious to talk to you about and get your opinion on. But they're not about seeking reform. Okay? They're not about reconciliation. They're not about fixing the problem. They are seeking abolition. Abolition. And the abolition of borders, any deportation, no enforcement in the United States, and the abolition of the United States as it is presently constituted. Okay? So no America. They openly call the American immigration system and the criminal justice system fundamentally unjust, racist, and white supremacist. They declare solidarity with popular movements abroad. They explicitly expose U.S. action anywhere in the world. So this is not civil disobedience. This has nothing to do with what's happening in Minneapolis. Okay, none of it. This is a revolutionary ideology. And behind all the soft language is something far harder. The Morrow Institute, the researchers there identify MIRAC as part of what they call, and we've talked about this here recently a lot, the Turtle Island Intifada. Turtle Island Intifada. Turtle Island is what the ancient natives used to call America. Okay, this whole continent was Turtle Island. And so if you're part of Turtle Island, they're trying to take the entire continent of North America and make it into Palestine, an occupied territory. And this turtle movement, the Turtle Island movement, denies the idea of America's right to exist.
Okay, we're going to play something else funny, I hope. But I hope you're taking this stuff in. Because, people like Soros are out there doing this, and they're doing it for the likes of Iran, all the Middle East countries that attacked Israel, Hezbollah, Hamas, Qatar, Yemen. All those countries are getting a kickback from this too. That's what they're advertising for. They're advertising basically to kill the Jews, to kill the Christians, and to take over America. Nothing less, nothing more. Turn it into a Muslim paradise where they can go on killing each other, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's based on if you don't agree with Muhammad, you get killed. No matter who you are, Muslim or otherwise. So this is the crazy ideology that we're fighting against. If you're going somewhere and you're protesting, like, you're going to stop people in ICE or any place else, and you're going to run them down or pretend to run them down or block them out or kick off their headlights or their backlights, you're going to get responded to. And it ain't going to be pretty. Okay, play the if you can get Mendoza.
Oh, Mendoza.
Mendoza, yeah. I want you to see this. We got a Super Bowl coming up, and you need to see this. All right, we're going to do this. It's going to happen. Hopefully, we can see it.
Yeah, that's why it takes a second, because this is the way that I
know
that it works.
Okay, well, whatever way it works, we want to see it. Okay.
Fernando keeps it himself. I'm going to run. Mendoza! Down! Fernando!
Play it again.
Way outside. Fernando keeps it himself. I'm going to run. Mendoza. Down. Fernando. Mendoza.
Nobody wanted this kid. But here's a kid here that I think I want. And here he is. He is 257 years old. He's still driving. He still has his license. And amazingly enough, I think he's in his truck or his car. And he is he's not an old guy. Look, he's young. He's a young-looking guy.
Dave?
He's an expert on
I
the
cannot hear
Constitution
you.
and the Second and Fourth Amendments, Second and First Amendments, and he is a brilliant guy. He used to hang out with all the people that were in the constitutional discussion at these one bar in particular in Virginia, where he picked up pioneer women. And he has been on my show for, it seems like a good portion of his life, but it's just a small sliver, 17 years or so. Please welcome all the way from wherever the hell he is,
Dave, I
JJ
cannot get
Bradshaw.
your audio, so I'm going to call you on the phone.
Hi, JJ. How you doing? JJ? Something I said? Something I did? I can't see you. I can't hear you. Okay, call in if you want, and we'll take it away from that. He probably turned on the heat and the car went down. So I know he's probably going to come back. But in the meantime, we might play the Steve Martin thing. We'll get that on. Yeah, Paul Simon, and we'll do that.
Yeah, we like doing our. Oh, there's JJ right there.
Oh, is he on?
There we go.
He call?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, JJ. Something I said, something I did. The shirt I'm wearing, what would happen?
I got some problems on this end. I'm calling you from my pickup truck sitting in the parking lot of the hospital. So, I couldn't hear your audio. I could see myself. I could see you, but all right. So you get me on the phone this time.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Such is the case with live radio and live podcasts. We got to be prepared for that.
Well, no, I agree. That's why we rehearse once a week, so we can mitigate some of the problems we get to, and we get this on occasion.
Yeah, it happens.
Of course, we'll
the
usual fine. I'll fine you $10, so it's no big deal. So
that's all right. The check's in the mail, so don't let it worry you at all.
We'll never get it. What's the mailing time these days?
A lot of stuff going on this week, and let's just start with the Clintons, two people that I dislike with great vigor. You recognize that the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform politely requested that the Clintons come in and testify. They said, no, we'll do a deposition. No, we'll do this. No, we'll do that. And the House Committee said, fine, we're going to subpoena you. And they did. So the Clintons are going to go in and talk to these folks. And I was really surprised that the Clintons agreed for this to be televised. I don't know if I can spot them lying.
Do they have a choice?
I don't think so, but this is an area that I don't have a lot of expertise.
Okay.
As far as I know, an ex-president has never been required to come testify before a congressional committee. If they have, I'm just not aware of it. But this is most unusual, and they're testifying on two separate days. I guess they gave them a day to in between so they could get their lying stories straight. But yeah, this should be entertaining. I plan on watching every bit of that, mainly because I enjoy watching Bill lie.
They're not going to go into the Russia thing. They're just going to do the.
This is Epstein.
Epstein, right?
Yeah, this is intended to be to shed some light on Epstein.
But they got a lot of evidence against
they're
that.
going to go in and swear to tell the truth, and then they're going to lie up one side and down the other. So I don't expect anything earth-shaking to come out of this, other than I want to see them squirm. I think both of them are pretty sleazy people, and they deserve this.
Well, they might try. They're going to try to drag him. I was listening to Jordan last night, and he says, they asked him about, well, what are you going to ask him about Russia? He said, well, I'll try to get there, but I doubt that we'll have that discussion. They'll probably because it's not on the agenda, but we'll definitely say something about it and see what they do.
Yeah, this is intended to be Epstein, and okay, that committee can certainly at some future date demand that they come in and talk about January 6th and Russia.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that might be much more revealing than anything they might say about Epstein.
Sure.
I'm for one, redneck right-winger that I am, very much convinced that Hillary and company orchestrated that whole thing, and to do that for sleazy political gain. It blew up in her face in the end. Good. Good. I hope the shrapnel harms her greatly.
It's more than that. It's more than that. They based on that a way to overthrow an election and impeach the president over false evidence.
Absolutely.
So
false.
that's criminal activity.
This was put together out of whole cloth. There was absolutely nothing righteous about any of that. And I don't know why Steele is not in prison. It seems to me that what he did for money constitutes fraud, and I wish I could see the guy get tried, but that probably isn't going to happen.
Who'd you say, Steele?
Steele, the Steele dossier.
Oh, okay.
The Steele dossier over which the entire Russia was predicated. And it turns out, the guy was getting paid by 2 or 3 different directions.
Sure. And isn't it interesting that he's British?
Well, yeah.
And isn't it interesting that right now they have they're having a big blow up in England over it, because the prime minister had appointed someone that was accused of being in on the island with Epstein and doing whatever to girls, and still got a job. And they're calling this a huge, the worst ever under English rule all these years that has happened to this country. I mean, they're really serious about it. So it's more than just that, huh?
Prince Andrew of Britain.
And it's not even it is about him, but he's done. He's over. They kicked him out.
Oh, he's cooked.
Okay, but this guy just got fired.
At some point, he may end up testifying. You never know.
That could be.
Let's go on to the next thing, because I got so much interesting stuff.
Oh, go ahead. I got time.
Fulton County, Georgia. What a nasty place. Of course, they sent the FBI in and a bunch of forensic folks and gathered up a whole bunch of ballots and tabulator tapes and my God, what. And, it's going to take months for them to grind their way through that. But some interesting things have been leaked. There's a lady named Cleta Mitchell, who is a representative of the Conservative Partnership Institute. This is nobody I had ever heard of before I started investigating this. And she's got some preliminary stuff that I found to be just fascinating. In that election, which we all believe was stolen, there were 25,535 more votes than registered voters in Georgia.
Yeah.
25K, more votes than voters. There were 133,000 ballot images that were deleted. Tabulator tapes deleted. It turns out this was either done very, very sloppily or with some serious intent. to promote fraudulent things. The numbers don't add up. And if you recall, there's been a whole bunch of people look at the Georgia voting and say, "Oh, there's nothing going on there. Nothing unusual."
Well, they still say it. They still say it.
Here is this private enterprise person, Cleta Mitchell, who has come up with these allegations. I've not seen these, in fact, but I tend to believe what she has to say. That there's an awful lot going on there in Georgia that was absolutely wrong.
What did Biden allegedly win by? 12,000 votes. They're finding about 320,000 votes that aren't justified.
Yeah, what surprises me is that so-called mail-in ballots.
Right.
Put that ballot in an envelope, you got to fold it. And they found a whole bunch of mail-in ballots that had never been folded. So how do you do that? Teleport that ballot in there? How do you do that? There's an awful lot of questions, and I trust Bondi and Company to get to the bottom of it as much as they can. They're like a pit bull. I love the FBI right now. I love DOJ right now because they're actually doing the job that they were intended to do, and that is go after malfeasance.
Mark McCluskey, right?
Of course.
Yeah, he's going to come up and say the FBI is not doing its job, and I'm wondering if he's wrong or right. I don't know. He's claiming that the assassination of Charlie Kirk, there's no way they came up with that conclusion that this guy was the guy that did it. And it sounds pretty convincing, but I watched part of that trial the other day, maybe it was yesterday, when this guy was he was in court, and nobody was claiming he was innocent. They were just claiming that somebody came, like one of the children of one of the prosecutors happened to be there, and they were trying to stall, is what it was, but nobody's saying he's innocent.
Well, you would think his defense team would say he's innocent.
I would think with every breath of I would think with every protestation that they have, and besides which he is innocent, there is no evidence that he did this. Okay, that's what I'd expect.
Well, yeah. I haven't been following that very closely because I've been focused on Minnesota more than anything else lately.
Sometimes you'll be leering to know. You'll be leering all about
now
it.
That you have informed me that I'm ignorant on this, I will get into it with all fours. Not a problem.
Oh, yeah, well, the way you picked up on that was pretty evident that you're not a dummy.
Well, my mother used to say that I was bound to be smarter than I looked. Overall, I have believed that.
Oh, it's probably true. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Oh, I can't say that.
Tom Homan for a minute.
Yeah, please do.
I love Tom Homan. This is a no-nonsense guy.
Right.
I'm a no-nonsense guy. So we're on the same frequency. And he's gone up to Minnesota and made some agreements with some sheriffs and some police that I'm sure violate what those sheriffs and police have been told to do by the political folks up there. I think
is that what happened? I wanted to know if the mayor and the governor say no, we're not going to do that publicly. Are they doing it privately and telling the cops, yeah, go ahead and do this? I mean, I don't understand.
I think the way it was presented to the sheriffs and the police was this: you swore an oath, support the Constitution, et cetera, We both know what that oath is, and I think privately they have told Fry and Big Boy, the governor.
Yeah, Tampon Tim. Come on, you got to remember his name, Tampon Tim.
I remember his name. I feel like I have to wash my mouth out every time you say it. Don't like the guy, but anyway, Homan, I think has said some words to them on the order of this is going to blow up in your face.
Sure.
The fuse is lit. And if you're smart, you'll back off of some of this rhetoric and some of this urging on the demonstrators and get with the program. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a politically very bad spot. Now, I wasn't there when those words were said, but I'm sure something on that order has been presented to them because all of a sudden we're getting some cooperation. The cops actually call ICE as they're fixing to release some illegal criminal and say, hey, we got one coming out the front door, come get him. Well, that's very good use of ICE's time. It takes one guy to take care of that rather than a whole team trying to get somebody in their domicile where they might be armed, might not be. So this is a very good thing. And Tom Homan, my hat's off to you. I think you're a hell of a guy. And you've managed to survive a whole bunch of falls that political folks that have been not all that good.
Well, let me do something here. You got Nick Shirley on hand. I'm going to show you somebody, but Nick Shirley deserves a ton of acknowledgement because he opened this wide open. You know, we're talking about Leering centers. That's the guy that discovered it. So yeah,
independent journalist.
Yeah, so I want to play this for you. It's he's going to set it up, and I think he's the guy that did it. And he also had time to go to Greenland, and he did an interview in Greenland about that country siding with America, whether the population sided with it or not. So this is going to be interesting. And hopefully this will come up and actually we can see it, right? So you're coming up right now. Here we go.
All right.
Talk to the people here in Greenland. How do you guys feel about becoming part of the United States?
It's good.
Would you rather be a part of the United States or Denmark?
United States.
And you? United States or Denmark?
United States.
What makes you guys excited about potentially becoming a part of the United States?
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
We want fast food.
Now let's go talk to the people here in Greenland. How do you guys feel about becoming...
It's all right. You there?
I am here.
Did you hear it and see it? We didn't see it.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, what, did I squeeze in a McDonald's commercial on the side? That shouldn't surprise you.
But that folks in Greenland would be interested in siding with the United States. We're the most powerful country in the world. We also have some of the most idiotic politicians, but I digress. Yeah, I think they'd want to ally themselves with the United States because it comes down to it, they're going to be speaking Russian or Chinese if they don't.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You tell that to Canada. Tell that to Canada. My gosh.
Canada's going to come around. I think they realize that they're poking the sleeping tiger.
Oh, my gosh. They're making big mistakes. They've already 100% tariffs on their goods. That's going to kill their economy because what do we buy out of Canada? Ice? Do we buy what whiskey?
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
Canadian bacon.
Canadian bacon. There it is.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
He tied the smart guy. Tied the name Canada and bacon. Canadian bacon. Very good. All right,
Dave. I think it's going to come around at some point because if you look at their government, it is largely socialist at this point.
Oh yeah,
and it's falling apart in places, kind of like Minneapolis, kind of like Los Angeles, where socialism has proved to fail. I think public opinion in Canada is going to turn back towards the United States. So yeah, I've got a quote from Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah.
That I'll use to end our little conversation.
Okay.
This is regarding Georgia. I'm back to Georgia again. And Tuberville said, this was Wednesday, and I quote now, "We got to get rid of these voting machines. There's a half a dozen people here in the House and Senate that did not get elected. It was all bogus. We've seen the evidence." End quote. Now, Tommy Tuberville is not known to be some radical wacko guy. He's a pretty straightforward guy.
Now, is he a senator
I think he's a congressman.
Congressman, okay.
But I might be wrong.
But go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Here the guy is, I'm sure, has been briefed about this stuff and is saying, let's go back to a paper vote. We managed to get that done for a couple of centuries. We ought to be able to get it done now.
Yeah.
And I think there's very much suspicion that those voting machines were tampered with.
There's no doubt. And
I have a good friend that's also an electronics guy that has some knowledge of these things. And he said, oh, yeah, there's a back door to those machines, and I'm sure they use it. I said, okay, will there be a forensic trail? Will there be some way of telling? Yeah. If you look deep enough, yeah. And well, Tom, I believe what you told me. So, yeah.
Very interesting that Trump was eager to go to Venezuela for a lot of reasons, and I believe that's one of them. They were one of the centers of these Dominion machines.
That is what I'm given to understand.
Yeah. So he has a reason. He has ultimate other reasons than oil and or anything else. I'm sure he went in for a lot of good reasons for the people there, because we used to be buddies with them and we used to do business with them, 20, 30 years ago, and everybody got along. But now, a couple of crooks get in there and it's all socialist and communist. And so, that's other reasons to go in, obviously. But I think one of the most important things is what they did to our elections.
I think the Dominion machine is going to take center stage on this at some point. When you get all those Georgia ballots and all of the tapes that are missing, probably destroyed, I think there's a trail there. And whether our FBI follows it and finds it, I don't know. I have some confidence in them, much more than I had in the previous FBI.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to find that there was a lot of stinky stuff going on there, and that opens the door to stinky stuff going on other places. Pennsylvania comes to mind, or any of the swing states. I believe, and I think you believe, that election was stolen, and a whole bunch of folks that have a lot to lose have sworn that it was not stolen. I got to believe it was, and I hope this FBI uncovers enough of that dirt and prosecutes enough people to make sure that this never happens again. Should we show an ID for voting? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, blacks are saying, why can't we do IDs? They're saying it out loud. They says, we're not stupid. We can get IDs. We can show you a passport or whatever you need. They're getting pissed off about this. They're
white
saying
boy honkies that claim to be speaking for the blacks are being shot down by the blacks.
By
They're
blacks.
saying, look, we're not stupid people here. We can come up with an ID. It's not a big deal.
They want whether it's for Trump or anyone else, they want their rights in the First Amendment, that they get a right to vote. And if they're just killing all their votes, what good is it to be a citizen?
Like the rest of us, they want their vote to count, and that's all any of us honest people ask for.
Sure.
I want my vote counted. I don't want 10,000 votes for somebody I've never heard of shoveled into the machine, and then everybody say, oh, yeah, this was okay. This was all above board. I don't believe that for a moment. All
right, let me read the board, and then I'm going to let you go, okay? Because I know there's at least one for you. Sounding good, looking good. Good team. That's from Patricia Odin Maxwell, who's on her way to the studios right now. Rory Maddox, I think you know him. Good morning from Oklahoma. And anyone else?
Morning.
That's it. Okay. You want to call the show, 573-578-2700, or
you can also comment on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble.
Okay, JJ, thank you so much once again for a great performance. And we'll see you soon. And we got Joe Dalton coming in pretty soon, too. Talk about the Pregnancy Resource Center's feast, so to speak. And you're going to be at my table, I hope.
It is my intention. Yes, indeed.
Good for you.
It has been my pleasure. I'll talk with you again next Friday.
Yeah. Oh, of course. When have I ever turned you down? ever.
Never that I'm aware of.
And it's never going to happen. Okay.
Have a good one, my friend.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye-bye. Let's hear it for JJ Bradshaw. Okay, now I want you to do the commercials, and when we come back, I think I want Steve. What's his name? The song, the guy that commented, Steve Martin.
Oh, and Paul
Yeah,
Simon.
yeah, Paul Simon. Okay, let's do that one when we come back, and I'll give you another one too.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrell's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Hey, Weinbaum fans. PRC of Rolla's annual Banquet for Life is coming up on March 5th. Join us for an amazing meal and an unforgettable evening as the pro-life faithful come together for the cause of life. Go to supportmyprc.com and click on the banquet link to register. Thanks to our corporate sponsors, your cost to attend this event is covered, but you'll be asked to make a donation at the end of the event. Go to supportmyprc.com to register or call 573-368-5700.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Blood, don't be a macho man. You wanna be tough, better do what you can, so beat it. But you wanna be bad, just beat it. Beat it. Don't wanna see no blood, don't be a macho man. You wanna be tough, better do what you can, so beat it. But you wanna be bad, just beat it. Beat it. Don't wanna.
Think of any more. And I said, make a new plan, Stan. And he said, 48. I said, don't need to be coy, Roy. Drop off the key, Lee. He said, okay, 50, great. Hey, thanks. And I'm sorry if I interrupted anything. I said, don't worry, I was just here cooking a chicken. And he said, oh, really, how are you preparing it? And I said, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And now look it up.
We're gonna play another funny thing, and we've got a funny guy with me, for that matter. And he's a serious guy. Just ask him. Tell me when you're ready. Yep. Hit it.
And I realize you're a Jewish man, but Jesus forgives all sins, no matter how big.
Wait a minute. I'm not sure I like the order. Hold on a minute. You're a Jewish man, but Jesus will forgive all sins. Excuse me.
Oh,
major faux pas. Oh my gosh.
I'm afraid that.
Oh my God. What happened here? Where's the rabbi when I need him?
I'm glad.
I don't like that talk.
Yeah. He's kind of laughing. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome my good friend, believe it or not, Joe Dalton, head of Rolla PRC, and getting the applause, belated, but getting it, because JP got up and he was supposed to signal those people out there. I hope they're not hanging out, So anyways,
good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Really good.
Did you hear that I'm a great grandfather?
I did.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And a great grandmother sitting right there too.
Congratulations.
What about me? There you go.
And she's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes,
girl.
And so is my granddaughter.
Oh,
she really is cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about Summer is the grandma.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking. She was there last night. And, she's now breastfeeding and having to go from one to the other and all that stuff. And wow.
Yeah.
So
we were talking about this last night. It's more breastfeeding should happen. It's healthier for the child.
Sure.
But unfortunately, it's like less than 50% of the time it happens. You know, these kids just aren't given the training and
well, the mothers, you know, and they think it's like, you know, pain in the you know what. And, well, it is a pain somewhat, but you get used to that. It's so normal that they do that for the child. You know,
God doesn't make mistakes. That's the way He designed it, right? So,
well, that's what I'm thinking. You know, I have to agree with you there. So we got a feast coming up shortly.
It's a huge event.
Yes.
It's a nice little sit down dinner for 450 of my closest friends.
Yeah.
And you're, of course, one of them.
Well, thank you. That's so kind of you.
It's our banquet for life.
Now, don't blow it with some crazy thing you might say here.
No, it's really cool because it's one night of the year that the pro-life faithful of our community come together for the cause of life, and you get to hear an update about the center, what we've done in the last year. Now close to 4,500 babies saved.
Wow!
And you get to hear an amazing keynote speaker, Rebecca.
You know, it's not just the 4,500; it's the families you save. It's the future babies that are also involved. It's just so it'll be great because then people have their families spreading out, and their blood is in those children.
Exactly. I mean, and so it's the legacy that's protected, and you know the legacy of family is so important, but also, I mean, when a life is saved, that those parents are spared a dreadful sin.
You and I say so, and I would agree.
And you end up with 4 very grateful grandparents. You know, so if you multiply that, it's just the current legacy of that family, also the future legacy.
You know, you've done for people like me who always thought that abortion was wrong generally. I mean, just why would you want to do that? It should be a crime. You know, I was thinking that when I was a kid, and all these other kids were saying, well, I'm going to get an abortion. And I said, well, why? And they'd look at me like I was an idiot. And maybe I was in some ways, but I wasn't an idiot about that. And then I learned to say, I think this is terrible for people, and it's terrible for everybody. In the long run, most women regret the hell out of it after they get a chance to think about it. And if they have other children, and the other children find out that you had an abortion, they want to know what the hell happened.
Right.
Why did you kill my brother? Why did you kill my sister? And there's guilt involved. Tell me about that.
Well, stepping back a little bit to earlier what you just said, but basically we've never met somebody that wanted to kill their baby ever.
Yeah.
They just feel like they have no other choice. So there's something in their life that's pressuring them to do that, or either someone or something is pressuring them to have this abortion. And it's our job to figure out what that is and to help them to not do what they don't want to do in the first place. And it's a loving and caring ministry, but on into the future of somebody that has had an abortion in the past. And I'm speaking to you now. If you're listening, please contact us. We help women that are suffering from post-abortive stress disorder, and what basically we walk them through and help them to understand that Jesus forgives all sins, even that one. Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute here. Did you just do that again? Wait a minute. You're sitting there like this, and you say, because
it's one of your favorite things.
Jesus forgets all sins, and you go like this. What is that? Who's behind? There's somebody behind me. Are you talking to President Trump?
Well, he's a great.
Are you trying to create another one? He's done it again. We're going to get this on record, and you need to go to. I don't like that talk.
I know it's one of the favorite things that I say. You know, your
I
favorite.
don't like that.
All right, we got another clip. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Hey,
that was unplanned.
I'm here to serve you.
Serve you, and call me an evil guy.
I did not.
Yes, you. What does this mean? When you're saying something and you go like that, when you have the hand almost slapping you in an imaginable slap, that's you, buddy. Okay?
I love you, Dave.
Yeah, I love you too. Kiss my. Who says that? I didn't say that. No, that's wrong.
I was
okay.
I was not referring to you. I just knew that it was your favorite thing for me to say. But back to that serious.
Yeah, we were acting, right?
Yeah, back to that serious message I was trying to convey.
Well, what's your phone number, for God's sake? You told people to call you. Tell them your phone number.
It's 573-368-5700.
Do it again.
573-368-5700.
Okay, you got it right twice in a row. You're smarter than I thought. Okay.
So our Banquet for Life is coming up. I don't know how much time I have left, so we're going to talk about that. Is that all right?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Well, Dave Weinbaum is a table captain. Really, Lisa does the work.
How long have I been with you guys? 8 or 9?
12 years.
12 years.
Sponsor,
how about that? Wow.
Yeah.
12 years. Wow. Dang. Okay.
Some of my fondest memories are getting you to be a corporate sponsor for the first time, you know.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know, you were very businesslike, but that was like, in my mind, the start of our friendship. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, this is really a great event, the Banquet for Life. We want you to be a part of it. There is no charge to attend, but everybody's expected to make some type of donation. So, so it's a fundraiser. I just want to remind everybody of that. But go to supportmyprc.com, supportmyprc.com, and click on that banquet link and sign up. And when you sign up, select Dave Weinbaum as your table captain, and really know that Lisa's doing the work.
She's over there giggling.
Well, you know,
it's amazing. You know, I'm in a town where I'm about the only Jew here in my family. There's a few others, but not many. And the town has. It took a while, but I think the town has actually have kind of adopted to me and my sense of humor, and they've always had your sense of humor, but I think they've adapted to us and don't consider us any worse off than anyone else, except for people that tell us we're not liked or stuff like that. Like you might, yeah, you're okay, but that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Am I digging myself a little deep?
No. So Jerry Seinfeld's favorite Jewish joke. Do you know what it is?
He has a Jewish joke? Jerry Seinfeld's Jewish?
Yeah.
No,
his
really?
favorite Jewish joke? Do you know what it is?
What?
I saw this just yesterday. He it's a very short joke. He says, two Gentile businessmen walk into a bar. One says to the other, "How's business?" And the other says, "It's actually really great." That's the end of the joke. So in other words,
I missed it.
Only in other words. But seriously,
hey, keep talking.
That was Jerry Seinfeld. So in other words,
Jerry Seinfeld. I told that joke earlier. Not a joke, but you have to put your foot down and get a leg up.
Yeah.
That was in Reader's Digest. My first quote ever in Reader's Digest. And guess who else was on there? Jerry Seinfeld. Okay. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I made it up there with Jerry Seinfeld. My first quote. So it was pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So
how do you know about funny? Yeah, let's do it all. What do
you know from funny, you bastard?
There you go. So how's this Pope doing?
He's doing great. Love him. Yeah.
The Chicago guy.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like a little bit liberal, it seems. Now his brother, and he's a White Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
His brother is a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
Which I was when I lived in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. And he's a conservative. What's going on with that?
Well, the Pope is conservative as well.
He is?
Yeah, you really got to watch the news sources when they're talking about the Pope. And it's like every time a new Pope is elected, the news stories come out, and it's like, of course.
Well, I've seen things about him in I don't have the specific things, but him sort of like not really liking what Israel was doing and all that stuff, fighting back. Have you seen those?
So any pope is going to be against war and make a public statement about against deporting illegal aliens and make a statement about it, and that's what's going to happen. And it's not. It's not.
Yeah, they're against deporting illegal aliens.
It's not
right.
Yeah.
So how do you explain the fact that they don't take them in the Vatican?
The last pope was complaining about Trump building a wall, and like there's a wall around the Vatican.
Wall around the Vatican, and right. You want to take the aliens? They should be shipping them to the Vatican.
Yeah. So
what the hell?
At any rate, this pope is very pro-life. Very much against gay marriage. Very much against stuff like that.
Good.
Yeah.
Because the last guy seemed to be kind of like a little wishy-washy on pro-life.
I never heard anything about that, but I had some real issues with him.
Yeah.
And so people get the misunderstanding that a pope is supposed to be perfect because we believe the pope is infallible. That's actually not true. We believe the only thing he's infallible on is scripture, as far as his interpretation of scripture. That's the only thing. Every man's imperfect, and we all realize.
Oh yeah, but you ought to be cognizant of what God did before for Israel, the only indigenous Jewish state that God put out there, including every other religion. Every other religion, none of them were indigenous to God, except for Israel. Is that true?
And Catholicism.
Catholicism didn't start until when?
Until
about 300 AD.
No, 33.
Huh?
33.
33 AD.
Yes, when Christ ascended into heaven.
Oh, okay.
Peter was the first pope.
When he descended into heaven, was he a Catholic, or was he a Jew?
He's a Christian. So the term Catholic, the term Catholic means united.
Was he circumcised?
Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he celebrate the Jewish holidays?
Of course. You're getting off subject. My point is
that is a subject.
No.
I'm saying Jesus was Jewish. He was Jewish from the time he was born and was circumcised until he was killed.
We need to get Pastor Pat in here. So
Pastor Pat, come on in.
So no.
Yeah, she's there too, I think.
Pope Peter was the first pope. And ever since then, there's been a pope
who also was a Jew, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But ever since then, there was a complete succession of popes all the way. So you can't say the Catholic Church started in 300 something. It started when Christ died. Pope Jesus Christ gave Peter his name. I forget his name before that, but he said, "I will call you Peter." Right? The word Peter means rock.
Yeah.
Okay. And Christ said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." And that's who we're talking about, right, Pastor Pat?
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, yeah. That's 2 against 1. That should be great. Actually, it's 4 against 1.
Well, at least what I heard.
Yeah. So was Jesus, we need to get her on.
I'll get out of here.
Huh? No. Well, but, she's probably got a different take than you.
Right, because I'm Catholic. But
why do Catholics want to diss Israel and diss Jews?
We don't diss Israel.
Oh yes, there are. And I've got plenty of Catholic friends, and I don't want to say, well, I got a Catholic, but I got friends who I argue this with. I have restaurants that I go into, and wearing a hat, and Italian restaurants. In St. Louis, it says, take your hat off. I says, well, why? He says, because that's what we want, what we told you to do. I says, I'm Jewish. I want my hat on. He says, well, you can't eat here then. I says, well, what are you going to do when Jesus walks in and he's wearing a cap? You going to tell him to leave? And they didn't. He says that they say at that point, I don't think we want your business, which is fine. I can go elsewhere. I go to other Italian places. I'm fine. Wear a hat.
What does this have to do with anything?
It has to do with a lot. It has to do with a lot because the attitude of some Catholics is very negative towards Jews.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm certainly.
So am I.
I'm certainly not one of them. I've never met a Catholic that was that way. You've obviously met most of them, but
I met him. I got great friends with him.
Well,
you know, but it always puts me under concern that some Catholics, and some of them are in the church, look down upon their fellow Jews, people that like Jesus, but not necessarily believe he was the Savior. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll end it there.
That's really the division. It's people that at the time believed Jesus was the Messiah, and then there was a different group of people that didn't believe that. And that's where the division happened between Jews and Christians. And then after that, looking at church history, the Christians were all one until the 1500s when the denominations started to split off. So the first split off was Lutherans, and then King Henry VIII wanted to get a divorce, and the Pope wouldn't let him, so he started his own church. So there's history behind every denominational split. But
well, in my sense of things, I think what I say about that situation, when you diss Jews, and if Jesus is not anything but Jewish, you're also dissing Jesus. That's my concern, is that you guys are saying things about Jews that you need to follow Jesus or you're bad, and that might reflect badly on you when you go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first class in heaven is going to be stupid things that I've said.
Well, one of my favorite quotes was Monsignor Snyder, God rest his soul, but we were in a class, and this was back when Jeffrey Dahmer was big in the news and all that kind of stuff, and he was trying to talk about redemption and about the forgiveness of sins and about all that, and basically anybody, no matter what they've done, can get to heaven. And this one woman asked if Jeffrey Dahmer, before he dies, confesses and does all the right things, he can be in heaven. And he goes, absolutely. And he goes, she said, well, I'm not sure if I want to be in heaven with him.
There you go.
And then he said, then I assure you, you won't, ma'am. I assure you. And he said, heaven is for lovers. You can't have hate in your heart at all and get there. So those people that harbor hatred towards the Jews aren't going to get there either. And that's
okay.
So
that's if the reason is because of Jesus, because we don't believe he's the Savior, then you've got a problem. All right, I gotta sort of like get you out of here because I need to get this lady on there. Once again, say it.
Banquet for Life coming up soon. Go to supportmyprc.com.
All right, I'm sure Pastor Pat will be there. Right?
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. From Catholicism to light and life right there. Pastor Pat. Don't hit her on the way out.
Love you guys.
Love you too. He's like a big brother. A big older brother. Oh, you're an old guy. You're old. Look at him. You need help? All right, ladies and gentlemen, as this lady gets ready, and I get ready, let's see here, Pastor Pat. Interestingly enough, we and I was just thinking about this, and I just called her the other morning. It was about a week ago, and we had planned to go to Melania, the movie in Waynesville. And I left her a message so she knows it's on the record that, I say she is the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum show. And I don't have her on usually. And I says, I got to get her on, for goodness sakes. Again, she is the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show. She found Rabbi Moshe and connected us in the Life and Light Church in St. James, is it? St. James, Missouri.
Yes.
So please welcome Pastor Pat Maxwell. And she has a relative sitting near her. Who the hell is he anyway?
That's my I call him my baby, but
Baby.
my son.
Your
my
baby
son,
boy.
He's grown up now.
That's so sweet. Okay, so I kind of ran shot, a little bit hard on my friend. I always do, and we're friends, and I'm friends with most Catholics too. But do you find there's a disconnect when people diss Jews and understand that Jesus was a Jew from the time he was born till the time he died? See?
Yeah.
Is that something they should be concerned about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very concerned.
That's all I'm getting at.
Because the Bible says to pay much attention to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, he had an answer that if you're against the Jews, then if you have any hate in your heart, you're not going to heaven. Well, there's going to be a big problem for me because I get angry a lot. Okay, and when I see things, it's how I played football. I played it angry all the time. I was pissed off, and it seemed to work. All right, and I think God had something to do with that. So maybe when I get older, and I am older now, believe it or not, I think I've been nicer, but I still get pissed off. And look at her. She says, "No, you don't, honey." She says, "Yeah, you do." I still get pissed off. And I wouldn't have a show if I wasn't pissed off. I'm pissed off at a lot of things that are happening. Can I forgive some of them? Of course I can.
Right.
But can I forgive all of them? I'm not sure. So what that lady said about, going to heaven, I'm not going if I have to be with a mass murderer, and then you're not going to heaven then? Come on. That's a big stretch for me, for sure. How about you? Jeffrey Dahmer. Do you want to be in heaven with Dahmer?
Well, if he asked the Lord to come into his heart and forgive him for what he did, if the Lord sees fit, and forgives him and he's in heaven, then yes.
And
yes, I can do that.
then take some other person that says, I can't go to heaven with him, and God's just going to dismiss them?
No.
Well, what are they
It's
gonna
kind
do?
of like how some people say, well, I'm not going to go to that church
Yeah.
with the hypocrites and the people like that. And so you say, well, if you're looking for a perfect church and perfect people, then don't go there because
Yeah.
you yourself will make it imperfect.
Okay.
Because, we all
Well, in other
have
words,
areas.
well, there's right and wrong. We
Mhm.
know God does defer to be right or wrong, doesn't he?
Right.
And like the rabbi says, well, it's like his children. He wants them to behave. He doesn't want them to fight with each other. He wants them to be nice to each other. And he wants us all to love him, and yet not expect everything that they do will be his responsibility. And I kind of think that's pretty good.
Yeah, he leads us and guides us and teaches us so that we can, do better and be better.
If there was a course of if you die and you go to semi-heaven or whatever, I think the first class would be stupid things I've said. Because we've all done that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, honey?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. She likes to nod.
We've
when
all
it's-
been there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it would be interesting to hear yourself say that stupid stuff again, to absolve you of what you said and apologize for it, and just maybe say, yeah, I was out of line.
Well, I taught a series sort of like that in my church, and it took several Sundays about things that people have said and how, you can dissect that and go back and check it out. And you check out your own sayings and what you've said. And you go back
Yeah.
and say, wait a minute, I need to rephrase that. I need to do differently with that. So
I think about things that I've done
Mhm.
in the past, and probably, and I realize I could have done things a different way. It probably wasn't the wisest thing to do sometimes. Who walks into life thinking you're going to do everything right? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody in this room. If you are somebody that knows you're right all the time, please call the show, 573-578-2700, and we will give you a ticket to heaven. Right? Okay, so what did you think of Melania movie? What did you think?
I really liked it.
Yeah, why?
Well, it really depicted her strength, and yet her love and her concern, and just showed on the outside what's really on the inside of her. It was just beaming, just coming out of her, of who she is on the inside.
Very, very proud, very, very professional,
Mhm.
because she was a model
Mhm.
from being from teenager on, and she had great camaraderie with her team. She got a whole team, and she's well on her way to being one of the best, if not the best, first ladies ever. And then she's got that son that's 7'2". What the hell happened there?
Wow.
There are books written back in the 1800s about Baron Trump.
Mhm.
Baron Trump. Think about that. And I've got a guy on that has kind of a he's got a feel for that. Have you listened to that at
Yeah,
all?
yeah, I've listened to your
What do you
show
think of that?
every Friday.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What am I asking for? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think of that? Do you think that's real?
Well, it can be, because I believe that President Trump and his family has been designed by God
Yeah.
for this nation to actually help. I want to say save. He's not our savior. President Trump's not our savior. We know that.
Right.
But he has been designed by God to help this nation turn around and to keep it from going under with all the things that are trying to take it over.
When he was when they tried to assassinate him in Pennsylvania, and he was bleeding from his right ear down to his right hand, down to his big toe on his right foot. Do you think that was an anointment by God?
I think so. I think that was a prophetic symbol
Yeah.
of the priest in those days. Yes.
Sort of the way that he anointed David.
Right.
And also, huh?
Aaron. Mhm.
Aaron, and there's somebody else I was thinking about. Okay, yeah, but that's because the logic of that shot, just hitting him in the ear like that, and spreading the blood down to different areas of his body, which were in exact ritual of how you would give the powers of someone to be anointed,
Mhm.
like the people that were actually, was it Samuel, or who were some of the anointed people that would counsel with the Jewish kings and all? And
Like the
Samuel,
prophets.
did I say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Elijah, Elisha, several prophets, major prophets and minor prophets.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So tell us about your relationship with God. How did that come about? And do you have visions from him? Does he give you visionary powers?
Yes.
Are you anointed?
Yes.
By whom?
By God.
Okay. Any ritual involved, or?
Well, he called me at a young age. My mom was raised us in church, and she was quite the prayer. She would pray all day sometimes, or it seemed. And she had a rough time raising us after their divorce. There was a divorce that happened, but she always told us that prayer is what got her through. She raised 4 of us by herself, and at a young age.
Well, God bless her for that, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we said, Mom, how did you do that? How did you do that? She said, prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer. And I remember the doors were shut at the bedroom so many times, and you could hear her praying in there and just worshiping the Lord and praying. And she said, that's what got me through. Because when you do that, the Lord can lead you, guide you, tell you what to do, strengthen you, bless you. And he promised he would take care of us. And so Mom believed that, and he did.
Yeah.
So I just sort of took on what she was doing. When I gave my heart to the Lord, then I just took on that prayer and took on sort of that ministry, except my Mom never was behind the pulpit minister.
Right.
But the Lord called me, to go behind the pulpit. So
how specifically did he call you? Is it just something you felt, or did he speak to you?
some of the ministers that I grew up with, or that they would put me into different like choir leader, Sunday school teacher, and do some teaching. They saw the call of God on my life, and they said, we want to ordain you, but you're too young to be ordained, so we'll just license you, and then when you become 21, we'll ordain you. And they said, but we see the call of God. So the main thing that happened when I was told them, no, I'll just be a singer. At that time, I said, no, I'm just a singer. I'll sing. And they said, well, you'll see. So one night we were at a camp meeting in Illinois. That's where I grew up. And
where in Illinois?
In Grant City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were at Sunset Hills in Edwardsville. And it was a campground, big campground there. And so my boyfriend was on one side and my best girlfriend was on the other side of me. And I was just sitting there listening to the minister. And then it was just like all of a sudden, that was me up there ministering. And it was not that minister, it was me. And what he was saying was coming out of my mouth. And inside of me, I explained to them, they said, are you all right? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just feel like a wash machine agitator is just going on inside of me. And I knew from that day on that the Lord had given me that, quote, vision, or whatever happened there, I knew I was to minister.
So how many times has God, do you feel like you're in a conversation almost with God and he's giving you advice?
All the time.
And how do you know you're getting advice from God?
I hear it in my spirit.
Yeah.
You're made of spirit, soul, and body. The real us is our spirit, which is the real us inside. Then there's a layer of the soul, which is the mind, the will, and the intellect. And then there's the body, which is this body suit, we call it, the covering. But the real you is in the inside. And that's where you hear from God.
Does God give you suggestions, or does he say you should do this or you must do this?
All the above.
Really? Wow.
He'll give me direction. He'll tell me things.
And do you ever confess to God that you screwed up something?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And what does he say about it?
You want to repent if you need to repent.
Yeah. What does he say about that?
Who, God?
Yeah.
He's glad that he's glad when you're open. He's glad when, look at David. How many times King David.
God, I was going to get a mirror.
And he would always
exactly
repent.
Exactly
he would
my
always
point.
Come to God and repent.
Yeah.
And God would forgive him. And then he'd just go again. And he was a great king, but he messed up in a lot of areas.
He did some things wrong.
Yeah.
but he kept keeping on contacting God.
Yes, his heart was.
Did you see the
after
movie,
God.
David?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
Oh, at Sight and Sound, not David, not yet.
The movie.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, it was in.
Cartoon.
Oh no, I wanted.
But it
to
was a
see that.
really well done movie. You got to
Yeah.
see that. Look it up or
I've
find
been
it
wanting
somewhere.
to. Yeah, I saw it advertised.
Yeah, I was just I was almost in tears a lot of time during that. That's
very
what.
touching.
Huh?
It was very touching.
I
Very
heard
touching.
it's real
Yeah.
anointed.
And
Yeah.
in case you didn't know, my wife is a minister ordained by Pastor Pat.
Yes,
Right? Am I wrong?
you're right.
All right. Is there a some kind of a deal that? Why did you give her that sword? It scares the hell out of me. So explain that.
It was
Every time she gets mad at me, I'm wondering, where's the sword?
well,
Where's the sword?
Ephesians 6 is talking about the sword, which represents the word of God.
Yeah.
So whenever we ordain someone, then we give them a literal sword for them to that which represents the word of God that's now in their heart and that they will be using as they minister in whichever way they minister. And
Oh, I'm scared.
and
I'm getting
not
more and more scared.
but it's for them to have as a momentum for their wall or for however they want to do that. But it's, of course, not to mean harm to anybody, but
The thing is heavy.
yeah. Yeah.
Were they
it's
that heavy? Really? In that
Yes.
time?
Yes.
People were strong back then.
Oh, they were heavier than that.
Oh, my
back
gosh.
then. Oh, yeah.
So as the other duties as assigned,
Yeah.
I can come over and hang it up on the wall so that it can't be used against you if I
You
need
got
to.
you got to put some really
Yeah.
good
We can
protection.
anchor that sucker down. So that it
Yeah,
can't be
that'll be
taken
worth
out.
the money. Believe me.
We
Did
do
you-
have some comments too, by the way.
Oh, let's hear it.
So Megan
Morgan.
Johnson. Yep.
Oh, good morning. Hi, Megan. How you doing? Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling in. Beverly McNair. Love it. Beverly McNair. Thank you.
And that's from a YouTube.
Where's she from?
She's one of my friends.
Oh, okay.
She lives in
Super.
Waynesville area.
Donita Rowden.
Yep.
Good morning, Mama Pat.
She's one of my spiritual girls.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Anybody else?
Are these
All
all
right.
from YouTube?
Well, you got fans. In fact,
No, the only one from YouTube was Beverly. It looks like Megan and Danita are from Facebook
Okay.
on the Facebook feed.
Wonderful.
in fact, when we got to the show, we didn't know we were going to that show, and Pastor Pat was going to be there, and you were there with two of your friends.
Yeah, Patsy and my neighbor, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I copped it all, and that gave me an opportunity to do things that I'd like to do, where somebody is good to me and something like that. I like to give them a little reward, so I paid for the people to be there,
Yes, thank you.
and I was happy you saw that. Wow, and it's a documentary, and it's making a ton of money. And documentaries are a little different. They just go for a couple days in certain areas, and they just keep doing it until they run out of cash, I guess. And this particular one is going to be pretty good coming up in these midterm elections, I think. It's going to do a lot of Trump
Yes.
and Republican situation. Go ahead.
I find it interesting that so many people they say that Trump and them are anti-immigrant, yet Trump and Vance are both married to immigrants who have
Yeah.
immigrant families. But the difference is they came here legally and
Exactly.
did it the correct way, which proves as long as you do it the right way, we're happy to have you here.
Well,
but it has to be done correctly.
Their thing is to say, well, you kicked off the other people that were here before you. Okay, well, it wasn't a country; it was a bunch of different tribes or whatever. And I don't know. That's the mantra of it. It's like Israel is not legal to be in Israel. They took over from the Palestinians. Of course, that's BS because there were
Yes.
no Palestinians except for the Jews,
That's right.
right? The Romans named them
Right.
that to insult them. And you got Arabs there. They're conquering. Muslim countries are conquering each other every other day, it seems. And their mantra is, since 622, that if you are not for Muhammad as God, you must be killed. Isn't that basically it?
That's what they say.
Yeah. And they kill a lot of each other's
And
because not everybody believes that
they're
way.
They're planning on doing that everywhere, too.
Well, they're doing it, aren't they?
They're planning on doing it in Rolla.
Oh, I know. I see it. Yes.
On the illegal thing, Dan Bongino's show is back. I've been listening to some this week, which on Fridays, obviously listen here, but during the week when we're not on, Dan's a great resource to have back on. He's just through Rumble. He's not doing a radio show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing he brought from his inside of being in the FBI for the last year is he says the media is not portraying any of this correctly. They will talk about how they targeted an illegal grandma who's been here for 30 years and all this stuff. And he said what happens is they find a lot of the illegals, especially the ones that are really hard criminals and doing really terrible things, they tend to congregate together. And what'll happen is they'll get an intel that there's 4 or 5 of these guys that are on their list because Trump said go after the really bad ones.
Yeah.
Like the top 5% that are top criminals, we got to get them out first.
Right.
And they'll get an intel tip. There's 4 or 5 of them here, and they go and bust it. And what happens is sometimes you have an illegal grandma, like the story that's been picked up, that's been here for 30 years, that was hanging with these criminals.
Yeah.
And so he said, we're not going to just tell her, well, you can go ahead and just go on. They have her removed as well because she is here illegally, but she wasn't targeted. They were actually targeting the criminals, but she was hanging with the criminals. And so they're not going to just release her. They try to go ahead and remove her as well. But the media is spinning as if she was the targeted person, and that's not accurate at all.
I was seeing pictures of my grandchild. Oh, my God.
I know.
He is, according to his clock, 2 minutes early.
Probably get a meeting in real fast.
Yeah, we got 30 seconds. My next guest is here, and we're going to get him in shortly. But as my first great-grandchild, I got to hold her yesterday, and it was so amazing. But I also first saw her in pictures, and I was praying, and I said, thank you, God, for so much, because I was really worried and wanted this blessing to come true and stuff like that. And I said, I just want you to know that I'm very, very happy that you did this for me. And I got back. I don't think I put this in the phone, but I got back a message that you're very welcome. I don't know where it came from. How's that?
Hey.
And some of that stuff happens to me.
It was Siri.
Yes.
Huh?
You said it was Siri.
I know. I didn't say it was Siri. Well, it could have been, but I don't know her. I never dated her. I never took her out. I said, no, I don't want to do this. I'm a married man. Okay. All right.
Maybe God was talking through your Siri there. So.
All right. Pastor Pat, thank you so much for all you do. And you're a lovely person. And I'm glad I met you. And I'm glad I listened to you finally about meeting the rabbi.
Yes.
Yes. I tell that story often.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We love you guys.
Love you too.
We love you and Lisa.
Okay. Let's hear it for Pastor Pat. Okay, we got we're done with commercials, aren't we? Okay, while this gentleman is and I use that term loosely, while this gentleman is taking over, we're going to play something. What do we want to play? Let's play a couple of clips, more clips of Glenn Beck, because I want him to hear this, and he'll hear it. And I want to get these out because it's kind of neat.
And one Mirac post made it really, really explicit. They said, from Turtle Island to Palestine, occupation is a crime. Turtle Island, again, what they call North America, they believe it has to be liberated. And if that language sounds familiar, it should, because we know exactly how liberation movements operate when they adopt the language of resistance, intifada, and occupation. October 7th should have ended any ambiguity at all. I mean, it didn't, but it should have. But it certainly didn't with Mirac. Their response to the October 7th massacre was not grief. There was no condemnation, not even an acknowledgement of Israeli civilians murdered in their homes. Instead, Mirak declared solidarity with Palestine and endorsed the so-called right of return and repeated the chant on October 7th, from the river to the sea. In April 2024, Mirak co-published a statement praising Iran's missile attack on Israel, calling it justified under international law and lauding Iran's support for the Palestinian existence. So you have this so far. The people in Minnesota, they say America has no right to exist. Israel has no right to exist. And one of their partners in this utopian society are, anybody who is trying to destroy America. And that includes Iran, that I remind you, yesterday, the last 2 days, now it's up to 35,000 people they have executed. Okay. So this organization that is part of the problem, part of the crime, I believe, the insurrection in Minnesota that is whipping people into a frenzy, they are for the Iranian government.
Okay, we're live now, and I'm going to ask him what he thinks about that shortly. But let me introduce you to a friend who's a Missouri rep. He's an Iraq platoon leader, running for Senate, lawyer, professor, philosopher, and family man. Please welcome, all the way from Waynesville, Missouri, Bill Hardwick.
You guys, stop it. That's the entourage. That's a lot. Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome. Good morning, Dave.
Did he just slap me in the face?
No, it was a waving off of the, just you can't. It's just I'm a little humble for the crowd clapping.
Shutting the crowd.
Yeah, I just say, hey, I appreciate.
I got to pay these people. What the hell's the matter with you?
I know, but we're here on substance. We don't do the pizzazz. I appreciate it. It's good to.
Yeah, we'll get rid of the minimum wage increases, and I can afford more of them.
I actually am against the minimum wage.
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that, but I have some stuff written down, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I insulted you. Did I insult you in some way? Or
No.
just
No,
okay.
no. I do that joke every time. I do it every Friday. Where I go, man, these people are following me around.
You're not in here every Friday, so they're following you around in other places.
It's like Indiana
Where are you
Jones.
hanging out at?
Like where Indiana Jones is going to sneak out of the window, like the people are there. That's what I.
Okay. All right. Anyways, 84% of America, they want voter ID.
Yeah.
And many of even the people you would think were voting for Democrats, like blacks and Hispanics, they want it too. 84% of them. And the Democrats are all screaming Jim Crow. And they ought to know because they're the ones that invented it. So what do you think of all this?
There's a lot there. Jim Crow is a Democrat policy. That's true. That's a good point. Voter ID is widely supported by people. I'm a big voter ID person. I think election integrity is really important.
Huh.
It's going to matter. It mattered when President Trump got reelected. The next presidential election is really going to matter. And so if we're going to have any confidence in our government, the executive branch, we need to have confidence in the election. That means that you're legally voting one time at the one polling place you're allowed to vote. There's not ballots harvested, people impersonating each other, stuff like that. Voter ID is the most common sense way to do that. The Missouri legislature has enacted voter ID multiple times. And we have a pretty strong version now. There's some exceptions, where somebody could say, I don't have my ballot. I have this alternative method. I get a provisional ballot. But the Missouri Supreme Court has struck down in previous years Missouri's voter ID law multiple times too. And on different reasons, they said it was a poll tax. They said it was there was access to the ballot. There was equal protection. So it's been struck down a lot in Missouri, but we do have voter ID now in Missouri. And I'm for strengthening that. And one thing I think I should do to strengthen it, we've been working on, is to have a designator on the driver's license that you're an American citizen. Because, for example, we have students at S&T, and some of those students can get driver's license.
So is that the ID we can use?
You want to use it? You can use a driver's license to vote. Yes.
Okay.
You can use a driver's license. You can use a military ID card. You can use there's passports.
What about flying outside the country?
If you're talking about real ID, no. When you go to an airport, you're going to have something. You have to have a federally recognized ID.
Could you write me a note?
I could write you a note. I think that'll probably get you a lot of places.
All right. Yeah, good.
But the students, yes. So you want only American citizens voting too. I think that's important. And I think there should be a way to designate that you're an American citizen. So only American citizens vote. Show your ID to vote. Only vote legally one time where you're registered to. No ballot harvesting, no collecting ballots, no drop boxes, none of that stuff.
How about machines?
I don't
counting machines.
I like hand counting. But I'm okay with the Scantron thing. If they do like a Scantron, if it's not plugged in anything, there's no CPU or software system. So if there's a tabulator that counts it like that, I'm okay with that. Just me personally. But if it's plugged into a network, I'm not okay with that.
That can't be taken and the count machine and manipulated.
If you can program it, I'm not okay with that. The touch screens, I don't like at all. I think those should be illegal. If it's hooked into a network and it's a system, I think that should be illegal. And we had a huge cybersecurity discussion yesterday about the autonomous vehicles, the Waymo machines, and I was talking to those folks.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, it's safe. It can never be hacked. And I was like, everything could be hacked. I was like, the U.S. military can't figure out how to keep their drones from being hacked.
Yeah.
So if it's got a network, let's just say this axiomatic is true. If it has a wireless network, it's hackable. So it's not safe.
Well, let's talk about Venezuela.
Okay.
They were one of the top points in. They had these machines, and they were a very important cheater in America. And I wonder if Trump, when he was analyzing going into Venezuela, if that wasn't part of his thinking.
I think it was part of the argument that the Trump administration, the White House made, that he was not duly elected, that it was a kind of coup that he staged. There's a lot about Maduro that the America could exercise their power, just like any other regime change or any other invention we had, just as legal. But I think that's a point to make too. Like if you're going to have a country that's a democracy, a democratic republic, constitutional republic. Some people use the word democracy. I say constitutional republic. Representative democracy is a good term too, I guess. People need to have some trust that it's a valid election. When we went to computers and the touchscreen stuff, confidence started to plummet. And interesting enough, we got all this technology that we incorporate into our elections, and it took us longer to determine the outcome of the election. So when we used to just hand count, there was election night. By that evening, remember that evening in 1992, we all knew who won the presidential election.
Sure. No, I don't.
As we incorporated more in 1984, right? It was that night, election night.
Yeah,
as we incorporated this more technology, now we have more technology than ever. Yeah. And it takes 2 months to figure out who's going to be the president.
Which is ridiculous.
That also erodes confidence in the process.
Sure.
Hand counted on election night, right? Have election day. And a definitive this person won. But all this extra stuff, when I remember even too in 2004, remember when they first had touchscreens were widely used around the country? Yeah. The news media reporting people would push George Bush and the screen said, thank you, you voted for John Kerry. And they're like, no, that's not what I did.
There you go.
And then they were pre-programmed. Those machines should just be non-existent, I think. So
exactly.
You have a county clerk. Locally, like Phelps County, you have a county clerk. They have deputy county clerks, right? They can employ Democrat and Republican poll watchers and judges to make sure it's being done accurately and double check. But those guys that we elect locally, who are neighbors, those are the people should be saying, here's how Phelps County voted, right? Not a computer that's in a network. Who knows who has access to it around the world? That's my opinion. Yeah.
Well, in 2016, I believe, Hillary told America that don't worry if on election day I'm way behind. Because keep on voting, and because it's not all going to be done for a while. Well, think about that. She was telling people there was cheating with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Barack Obama started that 2008, that model for the Democrats, and they really perfected 2012, where the Democrats would canvass neighborhoods for absentee or mail-in votes beforehand, aggregate them.
Yeah.
They'd have thousands, tens of thousands, millions by election day that were open and would take longer to count. So that early voting system made all these ballots come in, they count later. But so that's the same thing happened in 2012. Mitt Romney was up in a lot of states. And then as all those early votes came in, the absentee votes came in, the Democrats overtook them. And so Hillary Clinton expected something similar in 2016 because they used that 2012 Barack Obama model. But something weird happened in 2016, which was that, and actually we had an interesting pollster come talk to us and talked about the data. There were people who never voted before.
Yeah.
Who lived out in the sticks, for lack of a better term, like in Phelps County, out in the country. And some of those people were Democrats before, and some of those people, most of those people never got involved in politics before, but they showed up and participated for the first time to vote for Donald Trump. So they weren't counted in the models. And so and this happened again. It actually happens every time Trump's on the ballot. According to many pollsters have described this phenomenon. It's like these people who are not accounted for. They don't show up on polls. They're not in the media market.
Yeah.
They're just like out there, and they think the.
Why do you think that is?
I think that here's what I think. This is you want Bill's personal opinion. Okay.
No, forget about you, Pat. Why do you think? No, of course I'm asking you. I'm looking at you.
Could be right or wrong. This is what I view: that there are people who have been disaffected by society for so long.
Okay.
That remember when Trump said the system is rigged against you?
Yes.
And they're living in poverty. There's no hope. Maybe their son died of an opioid overdose, and the whole system, the global banking system, the government, the federal government, it all was stacked against them.
Yeah.
And the media was stacked against them. The media was just deceitful, and there was nobody saying, "I'll champion you," in a way that Donald Trump was able to.
Right.
So he came on the scene and he said, "Hey, this whole thing's messed up. We're gonna change this whole thing."
Yeah.
And the response was, and there's another key component to it. It wasn't just that he said the whole thing's messed up. It wasn't that he said we have open borders and we've negotiated our jobs overseas and that the average forgotten man is being completely destroyed by the system. It was that the system retaliated against Donald Trump when he said that.
Right.
The media came down against him. The deep state came down against him at the very beginning. And people saw that. And that's part of the reason why they voted for him, because the media attacked him so much.
So what if when he won in 2016, and they had all this stuff already prepared to get him out of office as fast as possible, two impeachments and all that, and all the nasty stuff and the criminal stuff, and then the 2020 elections, which at this point we're about to say we're pretty sure that thing was a fraud. Look at what they're doing in Georgia right now. They found like over 300,000 bad ballots. They only won that state by 12 points or 12,000
votes.
Yeah, 12,000 votes. So there's a lot to it to say that maybe the pause of Trump not being in office was something that really got him elected. That part of having to suffer through the Biden administration and the Kamala administration and all the crap that was being done and the inflation and stuff, that was what people needed to learn to overcome all these ridiculous legal battles that they were inventing.
So I mean, you and I endorsed Trump all three elections, all three times he ran for president.
Yeah. What do we win?
And what do we win?
Yeah.
We get our country back.
Yeah.
So we get a republic.
Good enough. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted.
But I think you're right. That story arc of 2020 COVID. Remember, so COVID was riots across. 2020 was riots across the country.
Yeah.
Federal buildings being burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Businesses in St. Louis being burnt to the
And
ground.
who was that by?
It was Barack Obama
Because MAGA got blamed for everything.
You could say it was instigated.
They tried to blame us for the 1-6 deal.
Yeah, you could argue that.
By the way, I've got the guy, the 1-6 guy, coming on next. McCluskey's.
I guess I said Barack Obama too quickly. I don't want to accuse Barack Obama, but I do feel like there's a whole, because I'm not I want to say it accurately. There's a whole, I think that I want to say it accurately and honestly. So I think that there was an idea that more riots and more protests that turned violent and destroyed property would be beneficial to the Democrats.
Yeah.
And around our area, I think that it backfired because people saw that and they said, I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
Then COVID happened, remember? Then there was
the
election distortion, the election fraud, the ballots, the mail-ins, the drop all the ballots that showed up, the triple counted in Georgia, like you talked about.
Right.
Okay, so that'll happen. And then Joe Biden assumes the power of the presidency.
Yeah.
He's there. Then we get the Afghanistan, the COVID mandates, massive inflation.
Yeah.
Basically, the entire world falls apart, if you remember that. There's no order.
And everybody's going to war. Russia, Ukraine.
Everybody started going to war. All of the other countries ran.
Iran is now suddenly rich again.
They ran nuclear deal back in place. They could do whatever they want, get nuclear weapons. Israel was on the run Israel still, there's always a strife there, but there were nobody to support them.
Right.
the COVID vaccine mandates, which I'll never forget, the way military soldiers were treated, which I'll never forget.
Oh, yeah.
The way our society was crushed, which I'll never forget. All that happened. And Donald Trump had 4 years to think about, okay, when he first came,
Exactly.
he had never held office before. He was never a general. He was never a Congress.
Right.
So when he came there, I think he was literally surprised at what the deep state was.
Yeah.
Where they said, we're just going to undermine everything you do. So he had 4 years to think, who would be a good guy to put in that job?
Yeah.
Who'd be a good guy
How
to
about
put in
that?
that job? And so when the new Trump administration came in, the country changed so rapidly, right? With the military being overhauled by Pete Hegseth, who's doing amazing things there with every branch, the Justice Department, with the FBI, just so much, he basically asserted executive control over the executive branch almost immediately. And the world now has this type of stability again. America's strong. We have a strong America in the world, which I think is good for world, for world peace. But it's good for the world.
You know who's comparable to him? Go back to World War II, 1943.
If you say Hitler, I'm going to lose my mind. That was a joke it was a very meta joke. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm laughing on the inside.
I won't. Look, Dave, I get it. We're not in the mood for it today. I won't.
Wait a minute.
Just a minute.
Just a minute. Let me make my point.
I'll make
it's okay for you to try your miserable joke. That's fine. But, yeah, look at the Jewish star while you're saying that. Okay. Damn. What are you doing?
Okay, let me finish your thought. We can come back in a circle.
If I can go back to it, I'm getting old. I don't know if I have the ability. Okay, wait a minute here. So you go back to 1943. I just heard this thing out, and it was really interesting. It was what happened in World War II. 1943, before we even landed on the beach there, we were getting our butts kicked, and they're trying to figure out well what's going on. We knew that the Germans had superior equipment; they had tanks that would shoot further and things like that, but they were just beating up on America all over the place, and we were going backwards. We were collapsing. Mm-hmm. Every time they attacked, we'd move back. Well, then they got this guy, name was Patton. And within about 3 or 4 weeks after getting beaten, the Nazis thought we were done. After 3 or 4 weeks of Patton realized that they had some equipment problems, but he knew that if you keep on backing up, you're gone. There's no people who want to be in that kind of an army because they're going to get killed for sure. They don't get the right to fight back, and their captains weren't letting them do that. Their generals weren't letting them do that. He said, when we get attacked, we're going to find a weak spot in their armor, and we're going to go right through them. We're going to ignore all the people on the sides. We're going to go right through them all the way to Germany if we have to. Okay? It worked. That's where, and that sounds like a comparison to Trump.
Yeah.
And he's not a military guy, but I'll tell you what, he's got more military sense than almost the entire Army and Navy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good points there. Actually, really good points. I'm a subscriber of the great man theory history, that action is what changes history. Somebody stands up and they act.
Yeah, same thing. Football.
Somebody's got to see it, see the battlefield.
You got to see the opening, but you can't go. You got to go through it.
Right. I'm a subscriber to that, and I think Lincoln's the same way. He was not, he was not classically trained, professionally trained by the military, but he had a natural strategic ability, to say this is what's going to happen.
He had a bunch of captains and generals, and they were worthless.
Yeah,
until he got Ulysses, right.
Yeah, and the same thing happened to. Grant's very similar, right? Like he had Shiloh, he's got back against the wall, and just has a bias towards action. And action, you have to act to change things.
Yeah.
And if you just say, "Man, things are awful," the world's terrible, the country's terrible, there's nothing we can do about it, America's bad. Well, in jiu-jitsu, they have the saying, if you don't like your position, change your position.
Bingo. Change your position as often as you need to succeed, to win. So speaking of winning, who do you think is going to be running for the Democrats? Newsom, Kamala, Buttigieg, Swalwell, Now, how about Minnie Mouse? Since she represents, DEI.
Yeah, and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah,
I think.
Cortez.
I think that.
I say, yeah, okay, she could be Minnie Mouse, right?
I feel like she'll run for Senate, and you need to Senate instead. There's the senator from Arizona who's also in the running, who replaced Kirsten Sinema, I think. I think Gavin Newsom has the biggest name ID. He's not polling so far ahead as Hillary Clinton was, or the Democrats have a way of sort of congealing and picking their candidate at a certain point.
Yeah,
like they have super delegates. The establishment just kind of goes, "Here's our person." So that with Biden, right? Everybody just kind of fell in line. So I don't know. I think it's good. They're going to have a rough primary.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think whoever gets in is.
But Kamala's back.
She could run again.
Yeah.
But I think she does poorly electorally. When she ran in 2020, she was unable to get momentum, unable to get support.
She had to drop out of the primary,
the caucus goers, and raise money. So part of the campaign is you have to have people who support you, so you could pay for your campaign workers, pay for your gas and stuff like that. So she couldn't make the payroll for her campaign. So it's one of the reasons she had to drop out, right? So I don't think she draws a lot of people's support. And I think that's ultimately, since we're asking my unvarnished opinion today, I think it's ultimately because Kamala Harris doesn't resonate with people. When she meets people, people can tell that she's not authentic, that she doesn't like them, that she's not a kind of a caring, charismatic person who draws people in. I think Trump's like that. I think there have been Democrat figures in history who have been like that, who they meet people and they resonate with people. But I don't think Kamala Harris has that. No. So, I mean, she could run again, but I think she might repeat something.
Ask her staffs. I mean, she
that's my
all
opinion.
her staff hate her.
So before she ran for president, I read articles about Devin Newsom this week, and then about her, where she would kind of make her staff stand up when she came in, and come down, and nobody could contradict her or interrupt her. And
read the one by Brett Stevens of the New York Times.
I haven't read that yet.
He tore Newsom apart. Is who he tore apart.
I think we have a staff. I have a staff that works for me. I think they're really supportive of me. I hope they are.
Yeah.
But they talk about how they like work with me.
I think we ought to do a little bit of a.
Do you want to have my staff come on?
Yeah. Well, no.
That's a good idea. It'd be like, what's he really like?
We can get him one of those Dominion machines and have them tell us what they think.
No. My point was that if you're. They see you every day. They see you when you're stressed out. They see you when you're tired.
Yeah, right.
They see you when you have 16-hour days.
Yeah.
They see you when you go out there and you get beat up by the media. You go back to the office and you kind of think about what to do. So I think that the staff, the people who work with me, they support me more now, seeing me have gone through all those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between Kamala Harris, the way she treats people who work for her and worked with her. You treat people like human beings. It doesn't mean that I get it. It's a very stressful job. You have a stressful week this week in the legislature. I get it that you're stressed out. But the way you treat people who work for you, the way you talk to them, if you're condescending, if you're yelling, if you're blaming your staff, that kind of stuff tells me a lot about what kind of leader you are. And that's one reason why she's not successful. On the other hand, I got a rule. I'm not saying I'm great, but I got a rule that's you never blame the staff. If there's a mistake, even if it's literally had as a lawyer, you go to court, there was a mistake in the pleadings, you say, that's my mistake, Your Honor, right?
Yeah.
That's just the right thing to do. You always uplift your staff, encourage your staff. You help, they help you. You always
Well, you got to point out where they need help and they need to change something. You got to point that out, but you do it in a nice way, and don't make a big deal out of it.
Well, that's a good point too. A lot of people think being a good boss is not having any standards or not saying here's what we got to do.
Yeah,
the people who work for you need to know.
And if you're mad, try to wait a while.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you have to say goals and standards. You have to say vision, and here's how we need this job done. That's important. Yeah. Everybody needs that, and your employees want that. They don't. The worst boss is one that is mean and cruel and unprofessional and directionless and has no guidance.
Yeah.
The best boss gives very clear guidance and direction,
right?
But is professional and encouraging.
Yeah.
Right. So that's.
But you want to make sure that they're actually doing what you told them, and you catch them on occasionally phasing out what you told them to do, and you go up and say, "Hey, what did you forget about this?"
That's not. And that's not a bad. And a boss
please do this.
Yeah, boss who gives clear guidance, who's just kind of maybe a little. What's the word?
You always have to observe what's going on. You have to be That's why I'm out there in the drive-thru. Because I can manage a whole store being in a drive-thru. I know exactly what's going on.
I've seen you at your store. You have a good leadership style.
Yeah.
And your employees like you. They light
They
up when they
like me,
talk
yeah.
to you. And but that doesn't mean you don't give them standards.
Yeah. I mean, she hated me. I was an employee. I met her. I don't remember her.
You yelled.
I yelled. I probably did. I was in my 20s.
Well, I like it too. You've got that thing on it because I go to McDonald's a lot, as you can
Thanks.
tell.
Appreciate it.
You've got
I
that thing
appreciate
that says if there's any problem with the bathroom or the food or the service,
Yeah, call me.
Call Dave Weinbaum.
They
It's
could
got
call
your
me
number.
right now.
It's got
It's
your
the same
number.
number.
I know.
We've had people interrupt the show because they're calling about.
I know. And
It's
I
usually
like
to say
that.
how great it is. But.
Yeah.
I like that. You saw the movie The Founder with Michael Keaton.
Oh, sure.
Where he was really.
You know, I knew Ray Kroc.
Did you actually know?
Oh,
Ray Kroc?
absolutely.
What was Ray Kroc like?
He was a little guy, and he was a punctuous kind of guy, and he had a little drinking problem going on too, but he was a visionary. He really was, and he was in the paper business along with my future uncle-in-law, or whatever you want to call him. And he told me the stories of Ray and stuff like that. And he was a guy that Ray called to go out to California. And what was the name of the town where the first McDonald's was? I forget. It was in California, though. And so he told me the story that when he landed in L.A., it came off of a night flight. Then he was asking Ray, "Hey, let's go see this McDonald's thing." He says, "Well, it's about 7 in the morning. Let's eat breakfast here." So I ate some breakfast, and about 10 o'clock then. And he says, "Ray, okay, let's go. Let's go see McDonald's." And he says, "Well, wait a while. I want to show you the area. I want to show you." What he was doing was he was stalling because they didn't have breakfast then. All right, this was 1954 or so, 53. And so he said, "Well, Ray, you got to take me to this place eventually." He says, "Don't worry, we'll get there." 12 o'clock noon is when he brought him there because it was the main time of the day when it just had been open for like an hour and a half. And he says, "I was really impressed." His first name was Lou, and he told me the story personally. And he was the Martin Brower guy. He was the main supplier. That's when Ray says, "I want you to be my supplier," and he says, "Sure, why not?" They had a handshake on it, and Ray looked at him and says, "Someday I'll have 100 of these." And he told me, he says, when he said that, I thought he was crazy, But my conversation was in Springfield, Missouri, when they opened up a big store there. And I went up to Ray and I told him my name and stuff. And I was still in my upper 20s and just opened the Rolla store. And I told him I'm Rolla, Missouri. He said, "Oh, Rolla, Missouri." His eyes opened up. He told me the story about that. I found out from Ray Kroc that nobody in the company thought that store would do any business because it didn't have enough population in it. So what had happened is Ray told him, "You get somebody in that store." So I was, just coming out of a deal where my then ex-father-in-law was being moved out, so to speak, and he at least put a suggestion into McDonald's mind. So they set me up, and I went to a meeting, and they said, "Do you want to be a McDonald's owner operator?" I says, "Well, of course I do." And they said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, Chicago. I'm from Chicago." I said, No, that's kind of full." And I said, "Well, Denver, Colorado. I just graduated from school in Denver." He said, "No, that one's kind of full too. We got a store for you. Rolla, Missouri." And I was living in St. Louis for 3 years, and I said, "Where the hell is that?" and they told me it's halfway to Springfield. So I went down there, and I'm looking at this town. It's halfway between Springfield, Missouri, and St. Louis. Even more, it's halfway between the United States in the eastern zone and in the western zone, and then you've got Highway 63 connects you to the southern to the northern. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell just happened here? And I took it.
A lot of people come through here.
Huh?
A lot of people come through Rolla. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, because of my success here, that's where they got to put a lot of these other stores in with the big signs. The big signs was my idea, and I know there was one or two out there, but I had the big signs on. That's a big deal, right there. It draws a lot of people. Anyways, we're done with my interview. What about yours?
I think it's a great story.
It is an interesting story. Yeah. It's an interesting story because I had no idea. I knew I wanted to do that. I thought very comfortable being in McDonald. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Always have.
Me too.
I always have. And people do,
We got
So,
comments, then we got Mark here too. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do that. Oh, there he is. All right. Let's do the comments. John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Great job, Pastor Pat. Yes, she did. Teresa Fannin Bush. Wow. Good morning. Enjoying your show this morning. God bless you all. I wonder if she's a Bush from St. Louis. No, and Megan, she's the best.
She's my cousin, Pastor Pat Fan Club.
Oh, okay. All right. And what a great show. First Pastor Pat, now Bear Hardwick. Wait for the guy I got coming up. Look at this guy. Holy cow. And Joe Dalton, I forgot to mention, the new hot honey sausage, egg, and biscuit is amazing. I got to go have one now.
It is good.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Bill.
I always forget there are people listening when we're talking.
Me too. That's like pretty interesting.
Joking around with Dave, yeah.
Yeah, joking with Dave. Yeah, okay. That we should call that this show. Joking with Dave. Oh, this guy looks so damn serious. Incredible.
Yeah, sure.
Right. He's ready to go. Thank you so much for being a friend.
Yeah.
And I always enjoy our interviews. And this guy's going to be a challenge, I can tell. All right, so you have a great weekend. And thank you for being here. Let's hear it for Bill Hardwick.
Thank you, guys.
All right, already. He's too shy. He's too shy. I just saved a little bit of time on the payroll. Thank you.
Well, on the big sign issue there?
Oh, yeah. It's terrible.
Size matters, right?
It's terrible. These guys are running me like crazy here. I still got my last guest, one of my better guests here, and she's here to keep you straight because you need a pastor, for goodness sakes. Do you believe this? I have all Catholics on the show, and they're all giving me hell. And then I got you. She's not a Catholic, by the way. 2 American heroes attacked by Antifa, BLM, led by Quarry Bush. All 350 of them were dispersed by 2 guns and 2 words: private property. And I'm here with Mark, maybe Pat McCluskey. Let's hear it for him. Okay, so how are you, sir?
Pretty gosh darn good. No serious complaints.
No serious complaints? You got
just lots of minor ones, but nobody's listening.
Maybe you can answer a few questions here because I'm kind of interested.
We'll try.
So I'm watching the Charlie Kirk assassin, and he's in court. And it seems to me, this is my take from it. Without further research, even his lawyers seem to be using stalling tactics and not claiming his innocence yet. Now, maybe that's coming, but your point is that there's no way this guy could have done it.
There's no way that he did it alone. Let me put it that way. I mean, I always come back to the same thing. Let me see if I still have props sitting here. I do. I have my props sitting here.
Oh, good. You got a prop?
This is a 223 shell. This is what an AR-15 fires. This is a 30-06 shell. This is what that rifle that the Robinson guy allegedly was using, right? This Charlie Kirk's neck bones or his super muscles aren't going to make this big slug going 3,000 feet per second stop and go down into his chest because it just physically doesn't happen. More than that gun that he had doesn't disassemble readily. You can take it apart, but it takes some time and it takes some tools. And the government story, where Kash Patel says there's nothing to see here, folks, we don't have to do any more investigation, was that this guy, we see him walking stiff-legged down the street, allegedly, because he's got the gun in his pant leg, right? And by the way, he's a little taller than me, but I tried to put a similar gun in my pant leg. It sticks out the bottom. It goes from my armpit down to my shoes. But then at some point, before we see him walking up the stairs, he's bending his knees so he doesn't have the rifle in his pant leg anymore. So now we're told he disassembled it, put it in his backpack, walked up the stairs, got up to the roof, reassembled it, put his scope on, didn't have time to zero the scope because he's only getting one shot off, somehow manages to shoot Charlie Kirk from a significant distance, takes the gun apart, puts it back in his backpack, jumps off the roof, walks across into the woods, puts the gun back together, and leaves it in the woods for the government to find. Now, if there's a human being on the planet that believes that happened, they need medication. It's just.
Are you the only guy out there saying this, though?
I'm not the only guy out there saying it. Everybody that knows anything about
guy that said it that on the show, and I think you were on it.
Yeah.
The captain that we had that was running for Senate.
Jim Avery?
Yeah, Jim Avery.
Yeah. I saw Jim at a function with the governor a couple of days ago. We didn't get a chance to talk about Charlie Kirk.
He believes just like you do.
Yeah.
But why would they do that? Why would Kash Patel lie?
Well, because Kash Patel is maybe covering up for a system bigger than he is, and he's trying to figure out a way. Once again, you get to the point where Charlie Kirk had just announced that he was turning away from Israel, that he had lost his big donors because he was turning away from Israel. But here's how I will tell you that what I believe to be the bottom line in all this stuff, and I will develop all kinds of hate mail from this. I think that the system was in place to replace Charlie Kirk, that Erica was standing in the wings, that they were spending money like there's no tomorrow. They apparently were living separately. By the way, no one asked this question. They had recently sold their house out in Scottsdale, right? And I tried to drive by their house. It's in a gated community. They sold it for $6.5 million. They hadn't bought. By the way, Charlie Kirk had never made as much as $300,000 a year in his life until the year before he and his wife somehow mysteriously buy a $6.5 million house. They then sell the house. He doesn't own a new one. He's got some condo someplace, which is like his secret crib where he hangs out when he comes back into town. But under what circumstances do two young, newly married people sell their $6.5 million house without having a new one, right? That sounds like divorce to me, right?
Okay.
I mean, give me another explanation for that. No one asked that question. Whenever you're in a situation where one of the most prominent people in the world, and he was, gets murdered, gets assassinated, and everybody says you don't have to ask any questions. We know what happened. And yet the alleged story is obviously fictitious. There's a lot to look at. And I've been saying this now for several years. The powers that be, the government, or whoever actually runs this world, has such disdain for the American people now that the stories that they make up are more and more obviously crazy and fictitious, because they know that the number of people that will pay attention to that is so small they can be absolutely ignored. And I go down the scenario this way. There was what's his name, and I'm glitching on his name now, but Kung Fu, right? David Carradine. He allegedly hangs himself in a closet in Thailand by tying something around his neck and then the top hinge of the door for autoerotic stimulation. Then we have Mick Jagger's girlfriend that allegedly kills herself by tying her handkerchief or her scarf around the doorknob and sitting on the floor and suffocating herself. Then we have Robin Williams, who we're told took his belt off, put it around his neck, put it in the closet door, closed the closet door on his belt, sat down, and then strangled himself. Then we get Jeffrey Epstein, right? In a room where the highest thing he can tie himself off to is 34 inches off the ground. He has tearaway sheets. We're told that, the cameras didn't work, the guards went off duty, and he hung himself by tying his tearaway sheet to an object 34 inches off the ground. Then sitting down.
Bill Barr said he killed himself. No.
Yeah, he did. There's nothing to see here, by the way. And then I'll get on my high horse on this one. For years, we've been told that Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific promoter of child sex trafficking in the world, and that all these important people were there on Epstein Island, Little St. John Island, having sex with minors and abusing children and extracting their adrenochrome and then eating their entrails and throwing overboard and all this crap. And now we're told, wait, there's no evidence that that anybody except Jeffrey Epstein ever participated in any of this stuff. There's no evidence that there are any other underage girls or any kids or anything. There's no record. There's no crime here. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison if it didn't happen? Why did Jeffrey Epstein go to prison and then have to kill himself if there's no evidence that there's anything other than Jeffrey Epstein involved in this, except all the pictures we've got, with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates and Stephen Hawkins in his wheelchair there. I read that. Yeah. And then this is a real world. This is a dark underbelly. This is Bohemian Grove. This is what really runs the world. A bunch of sick, demonic, twisted power people that believe that they can get away with anything. And more than that, not only do they believe they can get away with anything, they know they can tell us absolute crap and still get away with it.
Well, it seems that way, but we keep on coming back with our little justice pleas, and now we've got Hillary and Bill they're going to have to go before Congress now.
And they
agreed. Why'd they do that?
Well, because they're going to do this. Because Bill Clinton, by the way, is a very, very sophisticated liar.
Yeah.
Ever since he was governor of Arkansas, and we did a lot of business in Arkansas in those days, we had these things we called Clintonisms, where Clinton will tell you an absolute lie without telling anything that's untrue, right? He has this way of manipulating his words where everything he says is true, but the import is the exact opposite of the truth. And he will do that in front of Congress. He's a very clever guy. But what will happen is just like every other congressional hearing. The Republicans will spend their 5 minutes spending 4 minutes and 52 seconds grandstanding. And then Bill Clinton will say, well, that depends on what the meaning of is, right? And then the Democrats will get up and they'll blast January 6th and President Trump for 4 minutes and 59 seconds out of their 5 minutes. And Bill Clinton says, oh, boy, that's true, And so these hearings are completely worthless. Nobody goes to jail. When they get up here and they testify in front of Congress and they lie their asses off like Tony Fauci. Is Tony Fauci in prison now?
No.
He's drawing the largest pension of any government employee in history after killing.
Yeah, so is everybody a phony up there, or are they just going along with the program, or what?
I think that if you don't go along with the program, you have a very short career. Madison Cawthorn, for example, remember him? Paralyzed in a car accident, gets elected to Congress, stands up at he spoke right after I did at the Republican convention in 2020, and they have him stand up out of his wheelchair. Well, shortly after he goes to Congress, he publishes something saying that there's all these sex orgies and all these bizarre things. Guess what? You see Madison Cawthorn in Congress anymore? They produced this bogus, I don't know if it's bogus or not, some sex video of him back when he was in college. And that's supposed to disqualify him from being in Congress, when the story that he revealed was that all these people in Congress are having these massive sex and drug orgies all the time. They pull up one video of him from his college days, and all of a sudden he can't be a congressman anymore.
It reminds me of the English thing now. They got the Prime Minister of England, Kramer or something like that. I forget what his name is, but he is now being accused of letting on hiring a guy that was involved with Epstein, and it's proven by the records, and they're talking about getting rid of him.
Yeah, Kerry Starmer. Yeah.
So one guy said this is the biggest deal since in all of England ever.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Dave, there's no evidence that anybody except Jeffrey Epstein did anything wrong. There's nothing to see here, right? And by the way, I'll go into Prince Andrew because I just like making enemies left and right.
Go ahead.
He's toast because allegedly he had sex with a 17-year-old prostitute, right?
Yeah.
It's a girl who was there, knowing what she was doing. She was getting paid to have sex with people. Let's say this is true. Well, how old was Louis the 14th or 16th rather when he married Marie Antoinette? I think she was 14 at the time, right?
Yeah.
How old was Jerry Lee Lewis when he married his wife? I think she was 13 years old, right? 17-year-old girls. What was Ringo Starr's most popular song after the Beatles, right? She's 16, she's beautiful, and she's mine.
Yeah.
Sweet 16. I mean, this used to be the rule all over the place. Now they go into this kiddie porn craze. I mean, first it was a war on drugs, then it was a war on terror, then we have the war on kiddie porn, right? Ways to destroy your civil rights. And saying now if you have sex with a 17-year-old prostitute who is doing what she does for a living with you, and she's 17 years old, now this is some kind of horrible moral crime which will strip you of everything you've ever had in your whole life. And if that doesn't sound like BS to you, I don't know what is. These girls, maybe there was who knows what the real story is, because they're never going to tell us the real story. Maybe there are a bunch of really underage girls, 12, 13-year-old girls that are being raped on
that's the implication that the girls were not, they were attacked.
Yeah,
basically.
that's the allegation.
And kept as in jail.
Sex slaves. Yeah, sex slaves. Yeah. But now we're told, oh, that's just Jeffrey Epstein. There's nobody else on the planet that ever partook of those sex slaves except Jeffrey Epstein. And there's nothing to see here. But when you're 17 years old and you're a prostitute, my guess is that that's not too much of a crime, except technically under Missouri law, I guess it is if you're older than 18 years old. But then, of course, if you're younger than 18 years old, it's okay to have sex with a 17-year-old under Missouri law. And you know what the age of consent is in Missouri still?
I haven't checked lately. I haven't had a reason.
Well, I haven't had a reason.
My wife is right next to me, you schmuck.
Yeah, I know. It's 14, right? Age of consent.
I don't know.
14. So all this stuff.
Do you know? Anyone else know? 14 is the age of consent?
Yeah, and and here's the thing, right? So they pass all these laws which are designed to give the government. By the way, the biggest joke in D.C. is when somebody gets arrested for something, it's always kiddie porn, right? Because they seize your computer, they put on it whatever they want to, and then they charge you with kiddie porn. There's a guy that I used to sue all the time for defective pistols. He was the biggest scammer in the world. After I got done suing him the last time, I found out he was in federal prison in Florida. And guess what? Kiddie porn. It's a catch-all that they use when they've got. In the old days, it used to be like Al Capone. It used to be the IRS, right? Now it's kiddie porn.
How about that?
A way to take your rights away and discredit you forever.
So you have such a. Is there anybody getting any justice in this country that ought to be getting justice or not?
If there is, I'll backtrack. I don't do any criminal law at all, but I've been around this business for 41 years now. The government has these things that are professional informants, right? In the drug investigations, people that testify in case after case after case, testifying against alleged drug criminals. My favorite thing I ever saw. A former boss of mine by the name of Don Storr became a federal judge, and I'm sitting in front of Don Storr. I've got an appointed case in front of him for a guy incarcerated down at the maximum security prison. But I'm watching the case before me. And it's a case where they seized a large amount of money out of a guy who's at the airport, and he's got a suitcase full of dollar bills, probably $100 bills, a lot of money. Yeah. And there was no evidence that he was in the drug trade. There was no evidence that he had any illegal source for this money. There wasn't even an allegation that he hadn't disclosed this money. But he was on there on a confiscation case where the government seized his assets because it was drug related, right? And the judge says, "What's the evidence that this money was drug money?" And the federal agent stands up and says, "Well, the drug dog sniffed it and verified that it was drug related." The judge then says, and I will quote, if the dog says it's drug money, it's drug money. I swear to God.
The judge said that?
The judge said that.
Well, how did he examine him? Was he asked to be cross-examined?
He did. He said to the dog, "What's on the top of your house?" And he said, "Roof." He said, "What's on the outside of the tree?" "Bark, bark."
Oh God! You got to write a book of jokes. You're a funny guy. I don't care what they say. So here's a rumor out that Biden died in 2019 or was killed and was replaced by a double. Yet his ear, and what they're using as proof is his earlobes are different. Who screws around with your earlobes? Is there anything about this that says it's true?
I don't know about the death stuff, but I saw an awful lot of stuff where it looked like you could see the edge of the mask coming
Yeah.
unglued right here.
think?
And his face was different, his earlobes. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
His
why kill Joe Biden? His brain had been dead the whole time anyway. You don't have to actually.
Well,
kill him.
that's well. There's some truth. There's some truth, but if he died in 2019, he had an election coming up in 2020.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody did that.
Well, let me toss this one out for you. I'm
Yes, go
a
ahead.
pretty solid Republican and campaigned for President Trump in the 2020 election cycle. But let's
Yeah.
say this is all a double cross, right? Let's say that at some point here in the near future, the Democrats say, yeah, we cheated.
Yeah. What do you do?
We rigged the election. Yeah, Donald Trump did get elected in 2020, and he's not allowed to be president now because you can only run twice for president of the United States.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either, but I mean, every once in a while, somebody on some talk show asked me, what do you think about election fraud in 2020? I say, yeah, it probably happened. I know it happened, but I wouldn't push it too hard because then we've got somebody else as president right now.
Well, they're not going to get him out. Even if that happens, I believe he's got 1 year in hand, and he's got a lot of power. He does.
More so than any president today.
Are you still a fan of his? I mean, he's living in the same world that we all are.
Well, I gotta tell you,
a lot of the crap out. Hopefully,
well, I represent about 500 guys whose fate is in the hands of the current president of the United States, those J6ers, and so I have been very cautious to only say what I've been saying since 2016. That I'm a big fan of the presidents, and but I got to tell you some stuff going on right now. Like if we go to war with Iran, which I would would be very hard for me to support. And
okay, so, but what kind of deal? I think you're probably right, because if you're going to put shoes on the ground in Iran, that's a big country and
one of the biggest armies in the world, much bigger than the United States Army. They've got 3 different grades of submarines cruising around in the Persian Gulf, controlling the Straits of Hormuz. They're not a bunch of Stone Age tribesmen like we were fighting in Afghanistan or Iraq. This is a big modern army, twice the size of the United States Army potentially. At least 1.5 times as big in the standing army, and another 350,000 in reserves. Almost 1 million men under arms, and they're sophisticated. They have Soviet built submarines. They've got North Korean built submarines. They've got these mini subs that can skirt around the bottom of the ocean.
And they're calling you right now to recruit you.
They are. They're trying to find out where I am so they can drop a Patriot drone on my head.
Okay, so they're strong. How come and they kind of controlled the war? I mean, they had a bunch of these other countries doing stuff for them, and yet they weren't doing all that well even before Trump came on the picture.
Yeah.
Well, how do you account for that?
Well, because we've been trying to starve them to death since 1979. But you're old enough to remember back when Shah Reza Pahlavi was. God darn it! Would you stop that? When Reza Pahlavi was a Shah, they were a great ally of ours. We bought their oil and gas, and then Jimmy Carter, as the saying went in those days, threw the Shah out of Iran like a dead mouse. We could have supported him. We put his dad in power to begin with, right? And did a coup then to put his dad in power, then kept him in power. And then we threw him out like a dead mouse because it was Jimmy Carter, and half the world turned communist under Jimmy Carter because he was just worthless. But now here it is all these years later. But what they have had in that meantime is being potential victims of the Western world. They have armed themselves to the teeth. But here's the thing. The Israelis have already announced that that they have targeted the leadership of the government and the military, and they're going to start assassinating. Gosh darn it! What the hell are you doing here?
Answer the phone. I want to hear who this is.
Well, it's not the president, so I'm not taking it. But imagine this. Imagine this. I mean, we've talked about this before.
The president is standing right behind me. Shh.
I know.
Watch it. He's hearing
a thumbs up too. The Israeli tactic has always been assassinating the leadership and hoping the body dies after the head's cut off, right? But imagine this. Let's reverse the situation.
What choice do they have?
Well, let's reverse the situation though. When you're talking about a big, well-armed country like Iran, let's say if some foreign power came in and assassinated Trump and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, would we all say, "Oh, I guess we've been conquered. We'll just lay down and die now. We're not going to fight back"? But I mean, they've shifted their tactics. I mean, the Iranians announced, I guess it's just yesterday, their 5-point plan for surviving and or defeating the United States in an all-out war. And that includes, you mentioned this just a minute ago, that they're not an isolated entity. They've got their terrorist organizations around in the different countries. Right. They've got the Houthis, they've got Hamas, they got Hezbollah.
Well, how come they didn't do better? That was my question.
Because they had a defensive posture until right now. And now, as of yesterday, they've announced a new format for how they're going to portray themselves around the world. They now have an offensive format. And they believe that with all of their local allies and their overwhelming numbers, they can overwhelm the Israeli and American defense forces by just launching thousands and thousands and thousands of missiles and drones, and then having their allies in the area refuse to allow the United States to use their airspace. And in the meantime, then blocking the Straits of Hormuz, which takes away 21 million barrels a day, which is about 21% of the world's oil. And they can do it. The Straits of Hormuz is only 24 miles wide. They've done it before. They've got subs, they've got mines, they've got all these speedboats, these small attack vessels. All they have to do is sink a few oil tankers, and all of a sudden, 21% of the world's oil supply stops. Oil price goes up to $200 a barrel. Gas goes up to $6 a gallon. I mean, do you remember 1973 when this happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't so pleasant, was it?
Also, 111.
Yeah.
2011, sure.
Yeah.
Gas went right through the roof.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing that the Americans, you got to remember that the United States Army hasn't won a war in 80 years, not since the end of World War II. Everything else we've gotten involved in has been at best a defeat or a stalemate. And now people that, in the wars that we've instigated in the last 25 years, mostly it's been video game wars where very few people on the American side get killed, and we kill lots of people on the other side. But if there start being heavy American casualties, I mean, like Vietnam, tens of thousands of people dying, hundreds of people dying every day, the American people won't have any stomach for that.
Probably not. But so far, Trump has gotten away with Venezuela, gotten away with bombing the nukes in Iran, and so far he's looking like he's at.
If you're adhering to the philosophy that might makes right, he's doing a great job.
Well, okay, but all right, and I don't see a big answer from Iran. I don't think it just came because they killed a few of the leaders. Most of those leaders were from like Hezbollah.
Yeah.
And Hamas.
Yeah. Well, I refer to this, I think, on your show last time as like Francisco Pizarro in South America, with a couple of hundred Spanish conquistadors with overwhelming firepower because they had guns and horses, and the indigenous people were there with blow darts and loincloths, and they massacred the entire population. And we hope, I know that our government's position is that our overwhelming technology and the ability to launch weapons from a standoff distance will destroy Iran in a very short period of time. But you remember when Don Rumsfeld said this about Iraq, shock and awe? How quickly did that resolve?
You know what? I don't remember. What was the conflict there? What was that time?
That's when Colin Powell stood up in the United Nations and said, we know Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. We know how many he has. We know where they are. And we got to go kill him right now because of it. When in fact, all that was lies.
Well, yeah. Well, he was, in the end, they're full of BS. The leaders of the American armies, and I just went over this with Bill Hardwick, for a long period of time were inept.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've got some people and we've got some edges in tech of the technique of war, and we have overwhelming strength right now. And
at least from a technical aspect, this is true. But think back about the Iranian-Iraq war before we took over Iraq. That war went on for years and years and years with millions of people on both sides being killed. They used human wave attacks in that war, where the Iranians would just have columns and columns and columns of soldiers go up and be machine gun fodder. It was like World War I. And that's a potential that we may face if we don't overwhelm them instantly.
I hardly have to ask you any of my questions because you already got the answers. And I'm out of time, my friend. All right. So other than quickly now,
I'm laughing, but I mean, we stand on the verge.
We're
standing on the verge of World War III, and nobody's paying a particular
there you
attention.
go. I can't do anything. Okay. I'm going to tell all the podcasters now. Where can people find you and hire you and Pat?
All right. It's McCluskeylaw.com, McCluskeylaw.com. My ex is at McCluskey USA.
Gotta
Facebook
go.
McCluskey
Gotta
Law.
go. Sorry.
Sell those hamburgers, dude.
Yeah. Sell that BS, my friend. Yeah.